Oh, I absolutely agree. And number one, it's probably a testament to the defense of where, during the past couple of years, the defense hasn't been able to keep the Jaguars in the game, right? Because usually they're kind of blowouts. So, yeah, that was definitely a rare sight to see. First of all, I'm just glad that you're back in one piece, that you survived the black hole. And I agree with you, and I kind of share some of your sentiments where I thought it would be a lot worse, actually. I mean, yeah, there's videos out there of people running on the field and throwing stuff, but I feel like that's at any football game when things don't go the fans' way, especially with such a big, occasion as the last game in Oakland. So overall, truth be told, I was kind of expecting more, I guess, from the black hole. I mean,
too.
and I don't make that sound bad or anything, but I really was. But yeah, obviously the big takeaway from the game is Minshew. And in that first half, I thought it was more of the same, right? I thought we were going to see an offense that was going to be stagnant the entire day. I thought the defense was, giving up passes to Waller. Jacobs, had a pretty good first half. But they adjusted, and that was something that we weren't accustomed to seeing when the Jaguars go into halftime, was the Jaguars adjusting, was making the proper changes and coming out in the second half and kind of looking like a brand-new team. And then the biggest story is Minshew, leading him to the drive. And I get it. Maybe his numbers weren't the best. He definitely made some mistakes. He didn't have some help from his receivers who dropped some balls and everything. Maybe didn't make the best reads. But at the end of the day, the guy led you to a touchdown, and he won you the ball game, and that's the most important thing.
And a football team that needed a little magic, needed a little something happening, and they found it. And you know what? There was a sense of confidence once they missed the field goal, the Raiders did, that the Jags were going to get something out of it. They moved with confidence. They moved the football. It was like, oh, they're in field goal range. All right, Lambeau's automatic. They're at least tying this game, sending overtime. And then for them to go down and score, and especially with all their struggles in the red zone, it's a nice moment for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We can talk about, listen, we have a 24-hour rule too. We should, right? Media, fans, everybody else, I get it. You heard a couple positions in the draft. Understandable. I understand how that plays out. We've in Jacksonville seen that up close. We saw it with Andrew Luck and how a win late in the season against the Colts changed that. But I do, when you're around the football team and you talk to guys in the locker room, we did this with your teams, Austin Lane.
Yeah.
You do have a sense of, I feel good for them that they got this win. We've been wondering, hey, have they quit? Are they trying hard? People are saying, no, we didn't wonder that, but I think people were talking about. That's the narrative when it looks so bad. How can you be this bad? The Jags are the worst team in the NFL. Well, to get through all that mud, give an effort, show some excitement. Yannick Ngakoue, Josh Allen, those guys played out of their minds yesterday. And then to win a football game, I don't know if we're supposed to do this in the media, but I felt good for the Jags. I felt good for guys like Calais Campbell and Avery Jones that get up there and answer the questions all the time when we talk about 30-point blowouts.
Yeah.
That's good for them. Josh Allen, the young guy. Leonard Fournette, who's been through a lot and has shown a maturity about him. You feel good for those guys to be able to get a W, whether you're supposed to or not. So the Jaguars finally got that done. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane here on a Monday. Happy holiday season. So we're doing a little Christmas shopping today. We're at Academy Sports.
Absolutely.
Academy Sports in Atlanta, come on out, say hello. I know you got some Christmas shopping to be done, but Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 all afternoon until 6 p.m. here for our show. And you can catch us, of course, on the airwaves on ESPN690.com, and then you can also see us with video on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Come on over, say hello, and there's going to be a little bit of an event here later on. We'll talk about later in the 5 o'clock hour during the show, maybe even some special guests along the way. All right, what does the win mean, man? You've been part of these seasons where things haven't gone too well. I just kind of said it. You feel good for these guys. I'm sure they feel good. They get the smile. The Jaguars' Christmas party is tonight. Their holiday party.
Oh, nice.
They get the smile.
There you go. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. To be able to do that, even though in the whole thing it's a miserable season at 5-9. At least it's a nice day.
It is a nice day, and listen, those guys in that locker room in Oakland, they didn't care about the draft order, right? Like they're just trying to play. They're just trying to play for their jobs right now. And in the NFL or in any kind of sport, there is no feeling like winning. Now, yes, obviously the ultimate goal is to win the ultimate championship, the Lombardi Trophy. Well, the Jaguars won't be doing that this year. But anytime you can get a W, regardless of how the season's gone, it's just going to make everything just a little better, And now, don't get me wrong, it doesn't take away from their season this year. There's still a lot of disappointment on that team, a lot of underachievement on that team. But at least for this week going forward now, and when they start game planning against Atlanta, at least I think the mood's going to be uplifted a little bit, knowing that they can compete. Granted, the Raiders may not be the best team in the NFL, but the Jaguars played an overall good game, and I think that just gives them confidence going forward now. But it's like you said, Brent, anytime you lose 4 or 5 games in a row, the locker room, just the team morale is down. People don't like coming to work anymore. And to get that win in Oakland, especially such a hard environment, when the deck was really stacked against them. I mean, I'll be honest, I had the Raiders winning that game. I think a lot of people did.
Oh my gosh! I told my buddy to bet his house on it.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly.
Sorry,
well,
man.
hopefully he didn't.
You can rent a room.
Well, I guess if he needs to stay in the studio, he can, as long as when we're not in there. But all those things considered, the deck was stacked against them, and the Jaguars prevailed. So props to them.
All right, so we'll talk a little bit about Minshew. Does this change your mind temporarily on what they have to do at the quarterback situation?
You know where my mind's at, bro.
Well, was it there though at these last 5
Sure.
games? You know, given where you're starting to question where your mind is at, and now he's 5-5 as a starting quarterback. And as you look at there's some very good moments. There are some moments that you'd love to have back, but his turnover ratio is better on the road. That's a good indication. He's putting up numbers that, listen, a lot of quarterbacks early in their career or any time in their career in Jacksonville have not been able to do. Mm-hmm. So it begs the question. We'll talk about Gardner Minshew. Yannick Ngakoue, I'm telling you, man, he played out of his mind yesterday. I mean, that was fantastic. There were some guys that you could just tell. Leon Jacobs was motivated. He's a California guy. He had family and friends at the game. I thought Leon Jacobs played really well. I thought the linebacking unit played better. Now, I was getting ripped a little bit because Austin Calitro, I said, hey, looks like he's having a pretty night. Then he gets juked out of his mind. And then there were some holes. But I thought I saw 58 around the ball a lot. And you're not asking the guy to be a Pro Bowler. Same with Donald Payne. He's around the ball a lot. He's making plays. Thought the linebackers played well, especially in the second half. Now, they didn't have many possessions. Oakland didn't because the Jaguars had a 14-play drive, 11-play drive, 7-play drive. But nonetheless, I thought Yannick Ngakoue, has he cemented himself a contract here? Has he cemented himself in Jacksonville? How is this thing going to play out? What more does he have to do? And the numbers are now getting silly on Yannick Ngakoue. It's almost like you can't let that guy walk. You either have to franchise tag him or give him a new deal. There's no – and I know where the Jags' mind is here. At the very least, they're franchise tagging.
At the very least,
At the very least. But that's this regime's mindset. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the next regime potentially mindset is. So we'll talk about those things coming up here on the show. I'll tell you a little bit about the Black Hole and the experience in the Coliseum. It was an interesting atmosphere, to say the least, and an historic game, really. That is a good fan base. Mm-hmm. And to take football out of that fan base – wow. You know what else I thought about? Since Shad Khan has bought the Jaguars, a team that was always number one on the list to be rumored to go everywhere, 2 football teams have now relocated. And I think this story was relevant a couple years ago when they made the move to go to Las Vegas, but now it's happening. And so the Raiders are going to move to Las Vegas. St. Louis moved to L.A., and the Jaguars, I think, are securely here in Jacksonville. And there's still some things to make sure that secure happens for decades and decades to come, I think. But it's a good sign where the Jaguars are, and nobody's talking about that stuff anymore. It's a tired topic, but I thought it was worth noting, at least off yesterday's game, because you've got another team moving in the NFL, and it's not named the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then, big story coming out right now. And we're going to get into this because there's a lot to digest. In fact, it's just coming out. Tom Pelissero, some of the NFL Network guys, Mark Long from the Associated Press picking it up as well now. And bottom line is this. Tom Pelissero says the NFLPA has informed players that an arbitrator ruled in the union's favor in a grievance against the Jaguars over requiring injured players to rehab and see doctors at the team facility during the offseason. Full text of the NFLPA email below. There's more in here, including the end of it that says, in the last 2 years, more than 25% of the grievances filed by the players in the entire league have been filed against the Jaguars. 25% of the grievances. There are 32 teams, folks. 25% are coming from the Jaguars players, grievances against the front office and the football team. That is not a good look for the Jags. That could be a dangerous look given free agency that's about to come. Yeah. That could be a dangerous look in terms of who you want to attract as a GM, a coach, whatever moves might be made. And is it potentially the final nail in the coffin of this regime, led by Tom Coughlin as the Executive Vice President of Football Operations? Because this is not necessarily new to Tom Coughlin. He had to deal with this stuff in other stops, especially when he was with the New York Giants. I covered those stops, and this was a constant topic, but maybe not even to these kind of percentages. Let's get into it. What does it all mean? There's a lot of legalese language in there, but let's dial it down. What does it mean for the Jacksonville Jaguars that all these grievances are against the front office? You can speak from the player's point of view. And I'm a little bit more concerned, and Jaguars fans should be too. What does it mean going forward? You want to fix this franchise. You want to fix this football team. This doesn't help in taking steps necessary to do that. We're live at Academy Sports on Atlantic. Come join us. Say hello. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. We'll talk about this latest news about the Jaguars, and it doesn't have to do with a win. Your call's welcome as well. Star 690 904 362 9901. Thanks for hanging out on a Monday.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny skies today, warm, well above average, either side of 80 degrees. We'll be mostly clear tonight, down to the low 60s. With your First Alert forecast, I'm Action News Jax meteorologist Garrett Biedenball.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Where now through December 24th, get 20% off everything in the store, including loose diamonds, only at Beard's Diamonds.
Okay, they definitely don't have Safe Touch security here. Look, you see that cheap plug-and-play alarm system right there on the table?
Yeah.
All we gotta do is crash through the store here, walk over to the cheap system, and smash it.
Boss, I got a better idea. Instead of smashing that cheap alarm, we could just unplug it and take it with us. Then we could regift it.
Oh, you may be onto something here. We could give these do-it-yourself alarms to people we don't like, and then break into their house a week or two later.
Boss, that's a dirty, rotten thing to do.
What, you want to give them to someone you like?
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
You know, I even heard they have a warehouse full of these cheap alarms from all the unhappy customers who've returned them.
Well, good thing these folks didn't return theirs yet.
Right. So let's crash and smash now before they call Safe Touch.
You got it, boss.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
20% off pop on. Don't get Scrooged this Christmas buying a diamond from anyone else but Beard's Diamonds.
Now through Christmas, you'll save an extra 20% off Beard's already guaranteed low prices,
Including loose diamonds.
in the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
I'm Thea Jeffers, owner of Breezy Jazz Club and T-Works Interior Decorating. It doesn't matter where you come from, it's possible to own your own business. But starting a business isn't easy. The Jacksonville Women's Business Center helped give me the confidence to keep going when the going got tough. At JWBC, I got the training, networking, and support I needed to help me reach my goals. To find out more about how JWBC can help you, visit jaxwbc.com.
Over half of all men suffer from ED or PE. If you're one of them, either can be embarrassing, but they're both very treatable. Fortunately, Prime Men's Medical Center has the solution. Meet Dr. Rabinski, a specialist in men's health.
If you're not the man you used to be in the bedroom because of ED or PE, Prime Men's Medical Center offers custom blended medications designed just for you. There's no pain or surgery. If you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or prostate issues, not a problem. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, now men are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. And best of all, it's affordable.
For a private consultation with our highly skilled physicians, call Prime Men's Medical Center, 904-206-8105. You'll see results on your first visit, guaranteed, or there's no charge for your consultation. Call Prime Men's Medical Center now at 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Austin Lane from Action Sports Jacks. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. It was a lot of fun playing for the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, and I'm having just the same amount of fun on the radio every single day with ESPN 690. So I'm reaching out to you to be part of our team and grow your business with ESPN 690. Give us a holler at 245-8732. That's 245-8732. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you join the team.
At Action News Jax, we're here for severe. When storms threaten, put your trust in the Action News Jax First Alert Weather Team, led by Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish, rated the most accurate for the last 13 years.
The First Alert Weather Team is the only team of certified meteorologists in the Jacksonville area. That means we have the most schooling and training to forecast and predict severe weather. And that experience will keep you safe from a storm.
Action News Jax First Alert Weather on CBS 47 and Fox 30.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
A sewer troll? Where does that come
Well,
from?
Brent, like trolls that are underneath the bridge? Well, imagine a troll that lives underneath a sewer. It's not good, okay? Yeah.
The Jags are a sewer troll.
And she's got a whole personality as well.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and in the TuneIn Radio app.
The crazy, rare Jacksonville win last night. I'm so shocked that they finally won one.
Thanks for checking in on Star 690. Coon's like, hey, a lot less people call when they win.
Yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
People are a little more fired up
Yeah.
when they lose. I think everybody could use the win, and Jacksonville Jaguars were able to get that in Oakland. Pretty cool experience. Pretty cool fourth quarter for the Jags. Again, I said it earlier in the show, man. I'm going to look this up. But if somebody else wants to do it for me, you're more than welcome.
Sure.
Find me how many times this decade the Jaguars have won in comeback fashion with a touchdown in the final minute. Mm-hmm. You could even go to the final 2 minutes if you want. But how many times they've won a game with a drive to end it and finish with a touchdown? The field goal thing has happened. It's happened a decent amount of times. It hasn't happened as many as other times for teams because the Jags just, quite frankly, haven't won as many games as other teams. But that's the way the NFL's designed. It's to come down to the last possession. Sometimes you need a touchdown. Sometimes you need a field goal. The Jags were able to deliver that. And I think that's a nice asterisk next to Minshew's name. I think that is a nice moment for Minshew. Listen, I haven't been easy on the kid the last couple of weeks. I think he has played very conservatively at times. I think also, as much as we want to talk about the 5 interceptions, are we talking enough about all the fumbles and that side of the ball security? So I think, listen, it's been up and down for him. That's just the way it's been.
Yeah.
But that's a nice up moment. And now he's starting to compile a few of those in his rookie season. The Denver moment, that moment. Some other moments coming in the second half in Kansas City, or first half really in Kansas City. Second half when Foles got benched. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are nice things to be able to put on your resume and say, hey, I'm your guy. Ride with me. And the Jags players are talking about it. I think the fans love it. We know that. But I said going into this game, I thought this was a big game. If you look at his last 2 starts, they were not very good.
For sure.
And so this was a big one for him, and they weren't moving the ball. Do you know at one time it was 20-2 in first downs? 20-2. They were getting dominated, just absolutely dominated. And what I think changed a little bit is they were able to play they stuck to the run long enough to utilize the play action. They get away from the play action sometimes. They are a play action team.
Well, they get away from the play action, and they don't have the ability to do screens and things of that nature. So you kind of limit what you can do and be successful with just because you don't do the screens. So, yes, when things don't go their way and the run game's not working, obviously they get out of the play action, and then they become kind of one-dimensional a little bit with Minshew.
Absolutely. All right, So now the big story, these grievances. What happens? You've played.
Sure.
Have you ever been a part of a team or involved in filing a grievance, whether it's individually or maybe a group of players? How does this work in a locker room?
Yeah, we were actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was my first year in Jacksonville. There was a grievance filed under the conditions of us during OTAs. And I think what ended up happening was that the NFLPA won that grievance, and then we ended up missing, we had to get another week off or something like that. I can't remember the exact details of it, but basically how the grievance works is, there's a meeting in the locker room, and every team, they have their elected NFLPA member, and we talk to the NFLPA member, and then, you kind of channel information through them. They get in contact with the NFLPA, and then the procedure goes from there. With this Jacksonville Jaguars team this year filing all these grievances, or I guess it's the past 2 years, correct? I'm not surprised. I mean, I distinctly remember when we were at the G18, it was a Southampton.
Yeah.
And Jalen Ramsey had just pushed Doug Marrone in Houston.
Yeah.
And we were talking about how, I guess Jalen Ramsey's fed up with, the team and everything like that. What's going to happen? And I distinctly remember saying, this isn't just a Jalen Ramsey problem. Because Jalen Ramsey has he had the pomp and circumstance to do all that stuff because he's an all-pro. Right? So when you're an all-pro in the NFL, it's kind of like a double standard where you can get away with saying some things. You can get away with, saying, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. However, a lot of guys on that team who are just trying to make a roster spot, they don't have the liberties of doing that. So when Jalen Ramsey came out and said, listen, I don't like the culture here, I don't agree with what's going on, he was just the one guy, but there was a lot of guys out there that had his back that just didn't say anything. So going forward now, having this news come out saying how, the Jaguars 25%, was it?
25% of the grievances in
were
the
filed
NFL
by
the last
one
2
team.
years
Yeah.
by the Jaguars. And there's a common denominator in here, and that is Tom Coughlin. There is no other way to say it. Because if you go back to his New York days, there were beefs with the Giants. And I wasn't here to cover the Jags in the early going. My guess is there were some beefs with the Jags then, too, and I think I've heard some of them, right? I mean, some of the fines. Someone just texted in or tweeted in and said Mark Brunell was fined one time for wearing his suit coat too long or something like that, or his jacket too long. Or,
sure.
I don't know what it was. But there are some silly stories like that with Coughlin. And so, but I covered him in New York, man. I covered Michael Strahan and him button heads. It was a real deal. It was a real thing. They had filed grievances against Tom Coughlin. That's as the head coach. Well, now you come here, and is there any surprise, given the fact that it is Tom Coughlin, his past, given the fact they were trying to change the mentality here in Jacksonville, which they accomplished in 2017. And what I remind folks about in 2017, and while you're seeing the numbers of 25% grievances in the last 2 years, I wonder if it does go hand in hand with losing. And we'll break some of this down. There weren't as many apparently in 2017, or maybe a higher percentage, or maybe there were some and we just don't have the data on it. But I can tell you this, and I've said this for the last couple of years, and I said it even in 2017. That team was on the edge coming out of camp. They were not happy with their head coach, with the front office, because of the way they got pushed in camp. It was tough. It was probably harder than it should be. It was one of the hardest ones anybody had ever done. It was harder than anybody else in the NFL, most likely. And I believe if they did not beat Houston in 2017 to open the season, it would have got ugly. But what that did is like, okay, maybe it was worth it. It was worth it. And we're winning. And then they lost the game, and then remember they pounced Baltimore and London. And like, all right, we're pretty good now. Maybe this did help. And you've got to remember that 17 team, much like everybody in the fan base, they're starving for a win. Starving. They've just been miserable for the entire decade, especially the last 4 years under Gus Bradley with this whole rebuild thing. So they would take anything, even in that locker room, that resulted in a W on the scoreboard. Well, when the W's don't come, the complaints start coming too. The finger pointing starts happening as well. And so I don't think it's coincidence that 25% of these grievances in the last 2 years are against the Jaguars, while they've had miserable stretches in their season. 9-game losing streak last year, 5-game historic losing streak this year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But let me catch you up to date, and then I want you to jump back in, because you can speak on this better than anybody. Because a lot of these things, in my opinion, are confusing to just the listener, the viewer. There's a lot of legalese in here. But again, this is coming from Tom Pelissero. This is actually coming from the NFLPA. This is their statement. It's a bit lengthy, so hang with me. I'll try to ignore some of the non-essential stuff. In a recent decision from a grievance filed by our union, an arbitrator affirmed that under the CBA, clubs cannot require rehabilitation or medical appointments at team facilities during the offseason and pre-training camp period. Now, this started because Pelissero said the Jaguars were requiring injured players to rehab and see doctors at the team facility during the offseason. So this is what sparked the NFLPA email.
Which is a big no-no, by the way. But
that you require it, right? Yep. You can do it if you want.
Yeah, you can do it,
but
it's optional.
It's not required.
But we'll get into that in a little bit.
Okay. So it goes on. Despite the Jacksonville Jaguars recently decided they would require injured players to get all offseason rehab at the Jaguars facility. When players failed to attend these mandatory, in quotes, offseason rehab sessions at Jacksonville, they were disciplined by the club. In response, the NFLPA filed a grievance challenging the club's right to discipline a player in those circumstances. For example, during the 2018 offseason program, the Jaguars fined a player 25 times for missing mandatory appointments with a club trainer or physician.
Okay.
All told, the player was fined over $700,000 for missing offseason appointments. This is just one of many grievances we had to file to protect our players from the Jaguars' actions. The jointly appointed arbitrator rejected the Jaguars' arguments that they had a right to fine a player for not rehabbing at the club facility. He held that with limited exceptions, off-season activities are strictly voluntary, and no club can make those activities mandatory. Hang with me now. One last line, okay? The decision puts a stop to the blatant overreach by the Jaguars. Again, this email from the NFLPA is right at the Jaguars. This is not like league-wide. This is directly at the Jaguars. Emphasizes the voluntary nature of almost all football activities during the offseason, which goes back to Tom Coughlin calling out Telvin Smith and Jalen Ramsey during the State of the Franchise address. It should be noted that Jaguars players continue to be at odds with Jaguars management over their rights under the CBA far more than players on other clubs. In the last 2 years, more than 25% of the grievances filed by players in the entire league have been filed against the Jaguars. That is an astonishing number, first of all. And secondly, I want you to hear the line that finishes this off. This is from the NFLPA, by the way. This is not from a journalist. This is not from someone just as an opinion. The final line of this letter, at least that I'm reading, says, "You as players may want to consider this when you have a chance to select your next club." Wow, what an indictment, man, against the Jaguars.
I mean, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but honestly, sitting here right now with you in Academy Sports and hearing all this come out, because this is the first time I'm hearing about all this today, right now, Brent. This is insane. This is absolutely crazy from a lot of standpoints.
That's embarrassing. You're going to talk to players. That's embarrassing from an organizational standpoint to get called out like that publicly by the NFLPA.
Yeah, it's not good. So, I mean, there's so much to take away from that. The biggest thing that took away from it, obviously, was the players getting fined for not meeting with the team doctor. What was the exact quote there? It was the team doctors or training staff.
Training and doctors.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's not how that works, Brent, because, I mean, I went through it myself. So when I ended up tearing my labrum, I was put on IR for the rest of the season. When the season was over, I was still doing my rehab. So Mike Ryan at the time, who was the head physical trainer, head athletic trainer, we had to set up actually appointments back home in Wisconsin because I planned on going back home after the season was over, spend some time with the family and everything like that. So we had to go out of our way to make appointments back home, in a town that was closer to my town so I could do my rehab there, because it's illegal to ask a player when they're not in season, if they're not part of the team, to stay behind and do their treatment. You just can't do that.
It's an optional thing.
It's an absolute optional thing. And you obviously you have the right to get a second opinion as well. So they're making it sound like here, if you get a second opinion as well, that's frowned upon. The same thing happened in New York a couple months ago with that offensive tackle. Remember, and I forgot his name, forgive me, but he was going through that whole stipulation where he was seek the second opinion over an injury, a shoulder injury.
Up in the Jets.
Yeah, the Jets, yeah.
Was that Assembly?
I think it was Assembly.
Was it Assembly?
Yeah. Okay. Assembly. So same thing, where he wanted to get a second opinion. They said, no, you're fine, you got to play. And then he filed the grievance. And ended up, guess what? His shoulder is completely torn off the socket. So this is just crazy to me. And what is the key phrase that we're gathering from this whole note here? It's mandatory, or is it optional? And this has to be directly correlated to Tom Coughlin again, because I go back to when he called out two players in particular, Jalen Ramsey and Telvin Smith. Now, he never said him out by name, but when it was like the Jaguars luncheon or whatever, and he says that we expect 100% participation, well, it's voluntary. Keyword being voluntary. Once again, when we're talking about the medical stuff here, it's voluntary. You don't have to get your medical treatment in Jacksonville if you're not in the season. Simple as that. It's crazy to me.
Here's what I wonder about the NFL sometimes, okay? We're in a time right now where in the last week, the Patriots have come under fire for their video use again, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not tying these two things together in that respect, like each instance. But my point is people push the envelope in the NFL. Mm-hmm. No doubt Tom Coughlin in his career has pushed the envelope as a coach. I mean, he brings it up to the line. And I guess what I would say is I think a lot of coaches do. I think in college football, a lot of coaches do. Maybe not even on the field, but on the recruiting lines, right? So I think competitors, whether it's what you're taking and putting in your body, whether it's coaches in front offices in terms of getting you right up to the edge of that rule book, mm-hmm. whether it's recruiters getting you right up to the edge of those NCAA lines. That's what happens in sports. Mm. You live on the edge. And I just wonder how much of that is this and how many folks do it. And why are you taking it over the edge and becoming 25% of the problem in the NFL of going over the edge? Yeah. Because everybody else, 31 other teams, can seemingly manage it. I mean, because if you think about 75% of other grievances spread out amongst 31 teams, I don't know what that number is, but, I mean, you are like triple, quadruple 5 times as many as another team.
Yeah, and see,
in terms of a grievance.
This reminds me of like back in the day when you played in like D1 college football. Even when I played at Murray State, like it was never mandatory to be there during the summer, but it was kind of made clear that if we weren't there in the summer doing our workouts as a team, there would be consequences, right? So that they kind of pushed that point home, and every single college program does this. The difference is in the NFL, you're dealing with a bunch of grown-ass men, man. All right? These aren't kids. These aren't guys going to school. These are guys with families. These are guys that want to take some time off and everything. And to say that they have to be there for the treatments, I mean, I get it. I see where the Jaguars are coming from or whoever's calling the shots is coming from, because then if you have them underneath the building, you can keep an eye on them. You can have them do the workouts that you want to do, and you kind of keep them underneath the same umbrella. I get that point.
Expensive illegal babysitting.
Exactly. But you simply cannot do that. And it's shocking to me because a lot of guys in that training room that when I played are still there, and they're great dudes. And to hear this come out, like, this isn't there. This isn't. I can guarantee you 100% that those guys in the training staff, this was not their call.
No, this is a
this is a higher up kind of thing.
This is definitely from the top down.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, someone said something to me in the last week, and we're trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
You know, what is wrong with this franchise, this organization? Why can't they win on the field? 11 out of 12 years into December, and you're not even a factor. Why? And so just kind of figuring. I mean, is it this hard? Is it? You've had different people. You've had different ownership. You've had different front office people. You have different coaches, a lot of different players, different quarterbacks. Why is it so hard in Jacksonville? And someone said something to me, and they used the word systemic. So there's a systemic problem in there, and there has been for a bit. Now, what that meant in my mind was, does that mean it's been like this for a decade or in 3 years in this regime? I took it as kind of this regime. And so there's a systemic problem. That was just one person's opinion. But the more and more I think about it, these kind of things do add up to that, where there's a systemic problem. And not only that, Jalen Ramsey aside, Jalen Ramsey also, he pushed the issue on that, right? But he might have had some valid points along the way, but he pushed the issue. There are some thoughts, none of this validated with Telvin Smith, is that he didn't like the whole situation going on in the building. One of the reasons. I don't think it's the reason, because I don't think he said a reason, but floating around there is he doesn't like the feel of the building. Now, would you take a year off and $10 million? I don't know just for that, but more evidence.
Yeah.
Mark Long said the person mentioned in this grievance for $700,000 that was fined 25 different times is Dante Fowler Jr.
See, I thought it was Jalen Ramsey.
You know, that's according to Mark Long.
Okay.
$700,000 fine, and apparently it was wiped away during this grievance and arbitrary process.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have to pay it. But the person there is Dante Fowler. Now, listen, Dante Fowler's made his own bed on certain occasions.
Sure.
It's not like he's models. It's not like you're finding Calais Campbell.
There was a couple off-the-field incidents, I remember, yes.
And so you wonder what it's like inside the building, too, at times. What are they dealing with? So this isn't always just on not all $700,000 of that was maybe just on the organization. But still, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of times fined. And the arbitration comes back and says you don't even have to pay that. The Jags were in the wrong.
Yeah.
You add also the element of Leonard Fournette being frustrated at times. Again, could argue that he made his own bed along the way, but he had a talk with Tom Coughlin in the offseason. He's kind of turned it around.
Well, they had a talk, but we were also made aware of it, too, as what was going on.
Yes.
Right? Like, he was losing some of his bonus stuff. Like, that didn't have to come out.
No, it didn't.
But they try to make an example of him.
Then you add in the Yannick Ngakoue situation, which we'll get to Yannick on a separate issue in just terms of his future here in Jacksonville based on his play, especially yesterday's game. But the Yannick Ngakoue situation, this thing is at a head because there's not a lot of respect for that front office on the Yannick Ngakoue side. But I can guarantee you that. I can tell you that. Like I've told you since August, middle of August, this thing has been at a standstill. And it's not like they're negotiating, saying, hey, we can work here. No, there's like hardly communications because of that front office and that relationship. That doesn't make Yannick's side completely all on the right, but that adds evidence to all this other stuff.
Well, absolutely. And we're talking about a front office where I watched Tom Coughlin a couple weeks ago run down all these stats that the media asks about Yannick Ngakoue, and Tom Coughlin comes out and says he has to show us more. He has to show us more. Well, he showed you 2 sacks. He showed you his ability to stop the run game, which he's been doing the entire season. Granted, he had the hamstring injury in the beginning of the season, but he's been doing well in the run game. So he's got to show you more. And listen, I've been pretty adamant, and I'm a big fan of Yannick Ngakoue, obviously. I've been a fan of him getting paid forever now. But from his perspective, and now these things coming out saying that there's a lot of guys that aren't happy in that locker room. If you're Yannick Ngakoue, I would try to get as much money as possible, obviously, but you have to hope that the new regime that comes in, like they did this completely clear house, because more than likely, I think he doesn't want to be here. And I'll tell you the truth. If I was Yannick Ngakoue, I don't want to be here. If you're not going to pay me the money, if you're going to pay these other guys these big contracts, what do you think about me then?
What could players do? Do you guys talk about this stuff as
Of
players?
course.
Are you in the cold
Well,
tub? Are you
so-
in team meeting rooms? Are you out to dinner on a Thursday night, a Friday night? Well, for you, you're at the Lemon Bar. But,
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
No, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Do you guys discuss this stuff,
Well-
or is it more agent-driven? Because there's a lot of stuff here. Like, if I'm a young player, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't understand. I understand my business, my benefits, my other things way more than I understood it when I was 24 years old. You know, I didn't care about that. I just wanted to work.
Yeah.
You just want to play.
Yeah.
But do you get all that stuff inside the building when it's going on as a player?
Without a doubt. Because, I mean, Brent, players talk. I'm not just saying players on the team talk, but players talk to other players around the league. You know, this is like a fraternity. It's a brotherhood. And I guarantee, because once again, like I called, Jalen Ramsey's not the only guy that wasn't happy in Jacksonville. There's a bunch of guys right now that are not happy with the culture that's been established in that locker room and in that building. And when you have that, guess what? Guys talk to each other. And if the NFLPA can come out and write a letter saying, we would advise you probably don't go to Jacksonville, well, guess what? Those conversations are already being had from players in that locker room to other players around the league, whether it's after the game, whether it's just on social media, whatever it is. I guarantee those conversations have been had.
This is damning, I think, for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Back-to-back miserable seasons, change is coming in Jacksonville, and now this. And does it change the legacy? Is this starting to change the legacy of Tom Coughlin at all? Because his name is on this, and you know his name is front and center on this part of it. Is this why Doug Marrone tried to change things up? Is this where they started to butt heads a little bit? And what does it mean for free agency? Don't answer any of those questions.
I'm not going to, but I have one
break.
question for you. Does this fall on Shad Khan as well?
Well, that's a very good point. And can he fix it
Yeah.
this offseason? Is it quick fix? Or will it take longer? We're going to answer all those things. We talk about it. Wow, this is a big topic in Jacksonville right now and around the country in the NFL. We're live at Academy Sports on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Thanks for hanging out.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. Jaguars found a way to win yesterday in the swan song of the Oakland Coliseum. The team rallied around quarterback Gardner Minshew as Duval took the lead for the first time with less than a minute left, which proved to be enough to close it out and make the Raiders' last home game in the Bay a loss. Here's Gardner Minshew on what it was like to beat Oakland in their own Coliseum.
Probably saw more middle fingers today than I have in my whole life, but no, they have a good time, man, and it was fun to ruin that for them.
And in one final true Raider fashion move, the Oakland fans booed the team as they went to the locker room and threw things onto the field, including pieces of their seats. The team moves to Las Vegas next year. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices, premium service, and TireOutlet.com always has a safety first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
Hey guys, this is Allie McDeal from both Best Bet Card Rooms. Best Bet's annual Winter Poker Series will be starting on January 17th at our Jacksonville location. With 12 poker events, the Best Bet Winter Poker Series has something for everyone, including the main event featuring an $1,100 buy-in with a $200,000 guaranteed prize pool. Whether you're looking for a low-limit or a high-limit event, the Best Bet annual Winter Poker Series will have a seat for you this January. Experience the best at Best Bet Jacksonville.
Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker dazzles this Christmas. Bring the whole family together for the original holiday tradition. Step into a simpler time filled with sweet dreams and spectacular magic. Experience world-class artists, stunning costumes, and towering puppets on the Gift of Christmas tour. It just wouldn't be Christmas without Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker. Get tickets now at nutcracker.com.
Appearing at the Florida Theater December 22nd. Get your tickets today at nutcracker.com.
I'm Dr. Eric Kim at the Heekin Clinic. I've dedicated my career to helping eliminate joint pain many patients suffer every day. At the Heekin Clinic, we use the most advanced surgical and non-surgical techniques, including robotic-aided knee replacement, which has produced outstanding results for our patients. I'm excited to be part of the Heekin Clinic team and look forward to helping the patients in Northeast Florida live a pain-free life.
The Heekin Clinic. Complete orthopedic care specializing in total joint replacement. Visit HeekinClinic.com for more information or to set up an appointment.
Hey, it's Mike Golick from Golick & Wingo. Thanks for making ESPN 690 the fastest growing sports station in Jacksonville. Clearly, it's because I'm on every morning from 6 till 10 a.m. But this isn't about me. It's about your business. Get your business noticed today. First Coast is making the switch to ESPN 690, and there's no better time to get on our team than right now. Call ESPN 690 today, 245-8732. That's 245-8732. Grow your business today on the new ESPN 690.
Hey, Bruiser, you ready to do the old holiday shopping routine?
Yeah, I got all the houses picked out.
Alrighty.
You know, I almost feel sorry for these folks.
Ah, don't go soft on me now. That's why they pay insurance.
Okay, so you promise those kids will just lose their bikes for a little while?
Yeah, I promise. Whatever.
All right, then let's sing our favorite holiday song.
Yeah. We're making our list, checking it twice.
Looking for houses with things that are nice. Bruiser and Browser are coming to town. We're filling our truck, we won't leave much.
Avoiding those houses that God safe touch.
Bruiser and Browser are coming to town.
Crime does increase during the holidays. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, owner of Safe Touch Security Systems. Our new Safe Touch two-way communicator saves lives and prevents property loss every day. Our average response time is an incredible 14 seconds. Nobody can match our service or our price. You have my guarantee on it.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
If you're tired of wearing glasses or contact lenses, call Meta Vision at Florida Eye Specialist, 268-EYES. They believe when it involves your eyes, you deserve the very best. Just ask golf professional Todd Bork.
I thought about LASIK for years, and I just finally got to the point where I'm getting older and I'm frustrated. I'm wearing distance glasses. Now it's raining, and that just doesn't work at all. I've tried contacts and failed miserably. Can't get them in and out of my eyes. So I just said, you know what? I'm not able to read the greens the way I think I need to. I want to do this for my golf and for myself. But I'm thrilled that I had it done. I can actually see to drive without glasses, and I can see the golf ball, and that's very important to me.
See why thousands of patients have chosen Meta Custom Vision and Florida Eye Specialist for their eyes. Call 268-EYES or online at metalaser.com. Hurry before your HSA or Flex spending accounts expire at the end of the year. Your eyes deserve the very best. Meta Custom Vision at Florida Eye Specialist. 268-EYES.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need
I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today.
It's a celebration you won't want to miss. The 75th Tax Slayer Gator Bowl on Thursday, January 2nd, 7 p.m. at TIAA Bank Field. This year's matchup will feature a team from the SEC pitted against an opponent from either the ACC or Big Ten Conference. Let's fill the bank and pay tribute to 75 years of Gator Bowl history. Special anniversary offer includes 4 game tickets, a parking pass, and game program for only $75. Package is now on sale at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lee on ESPN 690, and I need you, your friends, and family to meet me at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena Saturday, December 21st for the Jacksonville Icemen's Drive for 10,000 Teddy Bears. I know what you're thinking, hockey and teddy bears, but check this out. When the Icemen score their first goal, fans will be encouraged to throw their teddy bears and other stuffed animals on the ice. These stuffed animals will then be donated to the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville, so thousands of local kids are going to have their holiday shine a little brighter. There is no limit to the amount of stuffed animals that you can bring. This may be the only time where you're actually encouraged to throw things at a sporting event. So let's have some fun. Let's cheer on the Icemen and try to break an ECHL teddy bear toss record, all while doing our part in making sure local kids in need have a special holiday as well. It's the Drive for 10,000 Teddy Bears supporting the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville this Saturday, December 21st. Get your tickets now at jacksiceman.com/Teddy19. That's jacksiceman.com/Teddy19, and let's put some teddy bears on ice.
The Stephen A. Smith Show.
I don't know what would make him think I would care about it. I don't give a damn whether I'm blocked on Instagram or not. Not like I tried to Instagram him directly. Ain't nobody thinking about trying to post something on his page.
The Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Probably saw more middle fingers today than I have in my whole life, but no, they have a good time, man, and you know, it was fun to ruin that for them. No, we just kept grinding, kept finding a way. I mean, like you said, it would have been easy to just say, hey, you know, we're just not doing it right now, it's not working, but our guys kept plugging, kept pushing, running good routes, catching the ball, and kept blocking, so we found a way.
That's Gardner Minshew having some fun yesterday. I will tell you this, he does not get over – I love the energy, but I'm saying in front of a microphone, he does not get like crazy high after wins, crazy low after losses.
Yeah.
I appreciate that out of him. You know, I think especially as a young guy and things have been so bad and like, hey, I'm back in the saddle and I won the game and helped win the game. I think you can get like, you know, really start pounding your chest a little bit. I probably would be. But he keeps it really even keel.
He does.
And there's going to be one thing I'm going to ask, and I'm going to really tick off a lot of the folks out there today.
You take me off right now?
No, I don't think I'll tick you off because I think you'll understand.
Oh, well,
but I want to see
surprised.
if you agree.
Let's see. Okay.
There was a sense yesterday in that locker room. This is where I'm going to leave it for now. We'll talk about it a bit.
Okay.
But all that stuff that Nick Foles was talking about at those – what some people perceived as annoying press conferences.
TED Talks about the culture.
Might have paid off yesterday, at least to help get out of that slide, but also might have been felt inside that locker room more than people want to admit. It doesn't make all the sound of it any better to the fans. But let me just say, I think Nick Foles and guys like him, like maybe like a Chris Conley or maybe a Calais Campbell, what they're doing to try to establish that stuff is resonating.
Okay.
I think we've even heard Leonard Fournette and guys mention those kind of words. They just don't sit up in front of a microphone after getting beat by 30 and say it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They hint it, but they don't really preach it. So it comes off a little bit differently. I want to talk about that a little bit. This isn't like, yeah, Nick, great job. Nick. I'm just telling you, Nick's message is not lost on the inside. Even if it wasn't well received on the outside, is going to be a little bit of my take on it.
Okay, I can't wait to get into that with you a little bit. And, you know, speaking of the messages that were conveyed, I mean, we have to give Minshew the props that he conveyed of being a winner on Sunday in Oakland. And, listen, I think it was on Thursday we had our show, Brent, and it was probably the most frustrated that – I wasn't really with you, but just of the whole conversation of saying – you know, what do we see from Gardner Minshew? Do we give him these chances, or do you go in a new direction with the new regime? And it was absolutely driving me crazy because if he was a first-round pick and he's playing like this, it'd be like, oh, yeah, he's the quarterback going forward. But since he's the sixth-round pick, it's almost like he's more liable to be like, if he has a couple bad games, we'll just get him out there, put him as a backup, and somebody else can come in. And that drives me absolutely crazy because you can look at it two ways. And the new coaching staff, the new regime that comes into the Jacksonville Jaguars, they will look at this two ways. You look at it from the analytical side real quick. From a rookie quarterback, he's put up better numbers than Peyton Manning, obviously. He's put up better numbers than Matt Ryan. He's put up almost as good as numbers so far. We'll see how the season pans out as Ben Roethlisberger. Almost as good as Dan Marino if he keeps playing well. He's put up numbers as a rookie of these upper echelon quarterbacks, okay? And if you want to go from the analytics side, there you go. If you want to look from what you see on the field, what you see in the locker room, I see a guy who's taking command of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yesterday, Leonard Fournette posted a picture, and it was the most harmless thing ever, right? It was Minshew and Fournette, and obviously I retweeted it because I love to see it, but it was just a picture of them in the locker room. And to the average person, it's like, oh, yeah, they're teammates, they're happy, you know, they're celebrating, they won a game. More power to them. But for me, being a former teammate, it was the standpoint of Leonard Fournette saying, you know what, dude, you're the man. I want to capture this moment because I respect you for that. And if a rookie quarterback can come in here and earn that respect right now, who was the guy that said, AJ Boye said that Gardner Minshew's a dog?
He did.
Right? So
Not only that, but first words out of Josh Allen's voice interview yesterday. I asked him about his 10 sacks.
Sure.
And he said, and Gardner's a dog.
Yeah.
Same
See?
thing.
And
alpha dog, I think is what he said.
Alpha, even better. Hey, that's like the first place gold medal you can get right there.
Yeah,
so from that,
it's like me on this show.
You know, it is what it is. But from that perspective, though, Brent, you keep hearing these compliments. Well, they're coming from the right spot, and I think they're genuine. So going forward, if you're the coaching staff coming in, you have the analytics, and you have the respect of that locker room to back Gardner Minshew up, I think he's the quarterback going forward, but once again, it's just my opinion.
One last thought. We'll get into some of the football stuff, but this story
is
prevailing right now. One last thought. I thought it was pretty cool that Leonard Fournette, maybe we'll hear some of the sound, he said he was as relaxed as he's ever seen him in the huddle, which is interesting because he seems kind of a calm, cool, and collected guy, but he's still a young guy.
Sure.
And so you can get a little antsy, anxious in those moments, but 10 games in that moment, I'd already been in that moment in Denver, probably a growth sign. for Gardner Minshew, at least in the eyes of Leonard Fournette, which I thought was pretty good. All right, let's get back to this story. There's a lot to get to here, and we'll get to the Shad Khan angle in a moment, but I want to beat the break and get to two very important ones. Does this mean the Tom Coughlin thing is over? In my mind, they were clean sweeping this thing anyway. Mm-hmm. Listen, I just spent 3 days on the road with the Jags. There's a lot of different people talking. Nobody is tight with Shad Khan. If you think you know what's going on, you don't, because nobody knows what Shad Khan is thinking. Ultimately, he will have to say. There is the story of Adam Schefter that comes out and kind of says everything that Jacksonville's been talking about for a month, in my opinion, outside of the family part of Coughlin, which has been an underbelly, but in my opinion wasn't reportable kind of things. Schefter thought he had enough sources to report. There might be some family things, so we'll see. But the bottom line is I think there will be a clean sweep here in Jacksonville. So this kind of stuff only may validate it. From a Coughlin perspective, do you think this actually hangs Coughlin, this kind of stuff in general, instead of the whole front office and the organization, but Coughlin is kind of the face of these grievances against the Jacksonville Jaguars, this letter from the NFLPA against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. I mean, that is very notable. I mean, and some of the language that they use toward the Jags in terms of, it's really to the players, is who they're writing to, and to say, you may want to consider all this stuff when you pick a team and have a choice to pick a team. So is this the final thing? Is this what Tom Coughlin's going to leave on here in Jacksonville? And will it tarnish the legacy? Listen, these last 2 years, in my opinion, they'll tarnish the legacy a bit. But 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, when he goes in the pride of the Jaguars, I don't think these last 2 years are going to stand out as much as the first 5 or 6 and even 2017 and win lunch and those kind of things. But now you start to think, how could it tarnish his legacy a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I guess first of all, Brent, if we're talking about this, props to Dante Fowler for not – because we this is the first time we're hearing about this stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of shocking to me because I've been in the locker rooms where players aren't happy. I've been in the locker rooms where, a team has filed a grievance and we won, and, word got out about that. So the fact this has been kind of kept hush-hush until now, it's kind of crazy to me. From Tom Coughlin's legacy, well, yes, this is a direct correlation of Tom Coughlin because the NFLPA in that letter, they used verbiage like mandatory. They used verbiage like voluntary.
Yes.
And the person who seems to have them in quotes, and the person who seems out of that whole organization who seems to have a problem with the definitions of those two words are Tom Coughlin. So is this the last straw? I mean, I think the writing was on the wall before this came out. But now, if you're Shad Khan and you're maybe nervous to fire him because he's such a staple in that Jacksonville Jaguars community,
I don't think he is. By
well,
the way.
Okay, well, whatever it is. But now you can look at this and say, well, you can't have this here.
Yeah, he's kind of making his own exit.
Exactly.
Essentially, we've got to take a break, but we're not done with it. Doug Marrone, is this why he changed his ways? And Shad Khan, at the end of the day, is this on Shad Khan?
Yeah.
The owner.
Absolutely.
Of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We have to get into that for sure.
That's next on ESPN 690. Plus your thoughts on it. Star 690 904 9901.
It's time for some straight talk. You know those football players who are all talk, no show? Well, big wireless carriers aren't much different. Well, Straight Talk Wireless doesn't give you the hype, just the savings. For just $45 a month, you'll get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. No contract. All on the same 4G LTE networks as the big guys, but up to half the cost. Savings delivered right to your wallet. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
So guys, how many of you are guilty of using your wife or your girlfriend's shampoo in the shower? Quite a few, I imagine. Have you considered the importance of using a product designed for your hair? Yes, men's hair. After all, your hair is different. Dove Men Plus Care has created a hair care range designed to fortify men's hair and give it the care it needs to stay strong and healthy. Do your family and your hair a favor and get your own products. Dove Men Plus Care for stronger, more resilient hair. Available at Walmart.
New flavors and a rating that would make men jealous. Hey everyone, this is Austin Lane.
And I'm Brett Martineau. Vita de Louis recently got a 98 rating. It's new and it's getting rave reviews.
Made in Tequila, Mexico and shipped directly to Jack's Beach. Vita de Louis is available in 3 flavors.
And those flavors are Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Try all 3. Make your own recipes with Vita de Louis Tequila, one of the smoothest tequilas you will ever taste. For merchandise and more, visit VitaDeLouis.com.
Peace of mind, it's one of the most important things we can have and sometimes the most elusive. I'm Eli Anajar from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Auto accidents are tough enough, but can be downright scary if the other car leaves the scene before the police arrive. You may still be able to make a claim if there's available uninsured motorist coverage. Call us to help ease the fear and help you present your claim. Call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000 for a consultation. That's 904-600-4000.
Office in Jacksonville.
The holidays are on the horizon. That means family and food. Hey, everybody, I'm Brent Martineau. Let Renna's Pizza help you out. Parties at school, parties at work, celebrations, or maybe you're just tired of cooking yourself. Renna's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Want a fresh one? Renna's makes everything fresh. New York-style pizza, sandwiches, salads, and pasta dishes. Everything fresh. Find out why Renna's has been a family favorite for over 40 years. 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and the newest location in Neptune Beach.
Hey guys, this is Allie McDeal from both Best Bet Card Rooms. Best Bet's annual Winter Poker Series will be starting on January 17th at our Jacksonville location. With 12 poker events, the Best Bet Winter Poker Series has something for everyone, including the main event featuring an $1,100 buy-in with a $200,000 guaranteed prize pool. Whether you're looking for a low-limit or a high-limit event, the Best Bet annual Winter Poker Series will have a seat for you this January. Experience the best at Best Bet Jacksonville.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
The NFL season closes out with the Saints taking on the Colts on Monday Night Football, 6 Eastern, ESPN TV and the ESPN app. New Orleans, a half game back in the race for the 1 seed in the NFC. If the Saints are going to compete for a Super Bowl, they can't afford defensive performances like they had against the likes of the Falcons, Panthers, and 49ers, notes ESPN's Ryan Clark.
That's not the way that you win championships. And when this team did win their Super Bowl and when they are competing at their highest level, they play great defensively. I expect Drew Brees to break the touchdown record, but can this defense stop people and stop Jacoby Brissett and Indianapolis Colts from scoring enough touchdowns to beat them?
With a loss tonight, Indy is eliminated from playoff contention. ESPN's Josina Anderson reports an MRI confirmed Chiefs defensive end Alex Okafor has a torn pectoral muscle. Without Okafor, AFC West champion Kansas City down to 3 true defensive ends. NBA Bucks try and run their winning streak to 19 when they take on the Mavericks tonight. Dallas will be without star guard Luka Doncic because of a sprained ankle.
Dodge's gift to you this holiday is Employee Pricing Plus. That means everyone gets the same price as employees on a new Durango. So hurry into the Dodge Big Finish event today.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Yeah, we try to find a groove, you know what I mean? Also, just starting with the running game, it was me just trying to make a play. What you see I was doing is cutting the ball all the way back. Just trying to get 10, 20 yards. So I was just try to get the drive going. And also, just try to just have Minshew back there more relaxed than ever, to be honest.
Well, that's Leonard Fournette. Continues to have a nice season. Over 1,000 yards, 1,500 yards total this season. He's breaking Fred Taylor or matching Fred Taylor kind of records in a Jags uniform in his first 35 games in the league. I don't think it was great yesterday. He was dancing a little bit at times. But I do think he continues to be a little bit of the attitude of that offense, and they need it. They really don't have much personality on this football team. And I don't mean that from an individual base. I mean that from a football team perspective. Identity, personality, they don't really have much of it. Leonard Fournette, in my opinion, brings that. Wasn't his best day yesterday, but I think continues to compile. And I think these two games coming up are big for him because to play 16 games in a season, I think would be a monster year in itself for Leonard Fournette after all the injury doubts from the first 2 years.
Of course, this is a guy that's got a lot to prove, and obviously the story during the offseason was Leonard Fournette, going to Wyoming, kind of making some changes not only in his training regimen but also his personal life as well. And so far, we're 14 games in the season for the Jaguars, and those results are paying dividends for them. So, yeah, if you're a Jaguars fan, you want to see Leonard Fournette have a healthy 2019 campaign, play in every single game, and especially the way that they're using him. It's not like, he's in and out. I mean, he's playing a majority of the game, getting all the snaps. So the fact that, knock on wood, he can have a healthy 2019, I think that's going to do a lot for him going forward.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Thanks for hanging out with us. The Jaguars get a nice win in Oakland. It's not super meaningful from a record standpoint. They're now 5-9, but it's a nice win after just a horrendous 6 weeks of football here in Jacksonville, and yet now it's on the back burner once again as we are live from Academy Sports here on Atlantic Boulevard. We're going to have a nice event coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We'll tell you more about that in a bit, but all the news on the Jags, forget about the win. Forget about the final game at the Coliseum. Forget about the Minshew magic for a little bit. Chris Conley, a couple touchdowns. Yannick Ngakoue in that defense, really good, including Josh Allen gets some double-digit sacks. I thought
Calais Campbell,
nice game. I thought some of those linebackers played better. So overall, they shut out the Raiders in the second half. There's some nice things to talk about. But right now, that's not what people are talking about. Instead, it's these grievances filed against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're just catching up with us, the story is the NFLPA put out a letter to players in the NFL. And in that letter, it was targeted at the Jacksonville Jaguars. One instance saying they fined one player last year 25 different occasions, the total of $700,000 for not being, while hurt, at the facility in the offseason, which should be an optional thing, but the Jaguars required it, made it mandatory, which you're not allowed to do according to the NFL and the NFLPA. Also, they said 25% of the grievances filed the last 2 years have come from Jaguars players. And a very damning line at the end, players, you may want to consider all this if you have an option to pick a team in the future. Let's get to the phone lines right now. I think we have Pat on the line. They've been hanging around, I believe, on this topic, or at least the Jaguars. So let's get to the lines on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Pat, what's happening, man?
Hey, guys. Awesome show, man. Go Jags. Minshew Mania is in full effect. Man, I have to tell you, there's one guy that stood out to me. He's not going to get a lot of praise, but I notice him every time he's on the field doing something, and that's Donald Payne. He fits that mold of that middle linebacker, and I know he doesn't have a lot of games to show, but what he has shown is the ability to stop the run. I think him and Miles Jack on the outside would make a great duo. Also, you got to pay Jan. And I think this whole thing with the players, the PA and all that, it's just showing that what kind of guy Coughlin really is. This kind of stuff was always up and about, even in New York. It just happened that he had a couple titles under his belt there. When you start losing, things start showing up a little bit more. Go Jags. I hope we clean house and pay Jan. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you listening to the show. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Let's go through it real quick, and then we'll get back to the grievance stuff because he brought that up too. But Payne has played really well. I think the numbers on the tackles are interesting. Like Miles Jack had 60-something tackles all season, and now Payne in the last 3 weeks has 40-something. Is Payne playing very well? Is he just sticking out a little bit more than Miles? What are you seeing?
Yeah, so from Donald Payne, listen, this is a guy who doesn't have a lot of reps coming into this season, and I think what you're seeing here is a guy who is in the right spot at the right time, usually. And that's the most important part of a middle linebacker. Sure, you can be athletic. Sure, you can come downhill and lay the wood on somebody. Yeah, that helps. But the most important part of that middle linebacker is, number one, making sure guys get lined up in the right spot, and number two, being in the right spot yourself. And if you can do those two things, you have a shot. And I think what we're seeing from Payne so far this year is the guy that can line the people up in the right spots and also play the right spot himself.
Did you notice how Yannick played in that game?
Of course.
Did it look lights out on TV?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it was a guy that, obviously he's good in the pass game. We knew that. He's a good pass rusher. But obviously in the run game, too. And that's something we've been preaching the entire season. So I think it was Pat said pay Jan twice. I'm going to say it the third time. Pay Jan. There you
go. Well, here's the thing. I think he's not motivated just from the pay Jan stuff. I think he was really motivated this week from the Pro Bowl stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's that time of year. And I heard him yell to one of the PR guys in the locker room, something to the effect of, I think they'll notice me now, or something like that,
Yeah.
And Jan always plays with that chip. And
he does.
And not enough people do know about Yannick Ngakoue, and he has a point on all of that. But I do think this play was more about the Pro Bowl than the money.
Sure.
At least the motivation, I think.
No, but to be fair, Brent, if you go to the Pro Bowl, well, that correlates to more money as well because sometimes in contracts there are Pro Bowl incentives. But also, if you go to the Pro Bowl, that justifies, like, listen, you had a really good season. And then when you're negotiating that new deal, you can be like, well, I went to the Pro Bowl, so you got to pay me now. But regardless if he goes to the Pro Bowl or not, this is a guy, and I think he even tweeted it this morning. He said that he's going to bet on himself. He did bet on himself. He got injured during the beginning of the season. People thought he fell off a little bit. But all things considered, right now I think he's on pace to have 10 sacks. We'll see how the last 2 games pan out. But this is a guy who's betting on himself, and so far so good. And I think that bet's going to pay dividends for him.
Yeah, we'll talk more. I want to talk more about Yannick
Sure.
Ngakoue. And he actually ties into this whole grievance thing in a weird way as well. And Gary wants to talk about that right now. Let's go to the lines. Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690, live from Academy Sports here on a Monday. Jags get the win, but they also get some bad news with this NFLPA letter to the players about these grievances. 25% of the grievances filed in the NFL the last 2 years have come from Jags players. Gary, what's up, man?
Wow, this bombshell sure takes a lot of luster off the win yesterday. My question is, guys, since the Jags were named so specifically and it was such an egregious percentage, do they face any ramifications from the league as possibility of fines and or loss of draft picks over this? Does the league get involved in this?
That's a good question, Gary. I'll try to find some of that out. Somebody actually, Giddy Up 31, I think, on Twitter says, any clue how many grievances are filed each year? Just trying to get an idea of how many 25% is.
Yeah.
I've got to be completely honest with you. I don't know. I really don't. I'm not privy to that. I don't think many. Like you said, in your time playing, you had one pass. That doesn't mean there weren't more filed.
Yeah.
But you had one go through.
But it was as a team, though, because there's the individual grievances that players, like a violation of contract.
Yeah, or
players
a fine
will do
that you don't agree with.
Yeah,
right?
exactly, correct. But then there's also like the team one, like we filed, where it was like, hey, we feel that the practices are a little too physical and they're not following the rules, so we're going to file the grievance kind of as a team.
I would say to Gary's question about the NFL, this is an NFLPA thing. This is why they're there. They handle this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL would do anything. NFL their job is to protect the team.
Correct.
Right? In a way.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to be super aggressive on defending the Jags, but I don't think they'll take any penalties unless there is something so egregious that they find. They're more concerned with the Patriots stuff right now. That's the NFL's portion, not the NFLPA.
Correct.
They don't have anything to do with that. So this is an NFLPA thing. I think I probably answered that correctly, Gary, but I'll also try to find out to see if I'm accurate on that front. This is really like, in my opinion, just think about it this way, okay? This is like you have 32 people that work at your company.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people in your company has 25% of the complaints in HR.
Okay.
Isn't it?
That we know, though, because there's been 25% of the complaints, but we don't know if it's from one guy or not on the Jaguars. Right? They didn't say. I mean, yeah, Dante Fowler had a lot of complaints.
No, but I'm going with the team.
Okay. Oh, I got you.
The employee
this
in
is
this
the team.
situation
Okay.
is the team.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got you.
So really,
yeah.
it's 50. It's multiplied by 53
Sure.
for each of those 32.
Sure.
But that's my point. It's like, there is something systemic about that. Like you would say, in my instance, if you had a place that employed 32 people and one person had 25% of the grievances, you would say, we got to check about this person. Like, okay, I get they might have a problem or two, but 25% of them coming from one person, maybe that's a person problem. So my point is, if you have 25% coming from one football team, one organization, this might not be a player problem, but an organizational problem.
Well,
that's my point.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Yeah, exactly. I mean, to try to paint it in a different picture, this would be like if you had 32 different jobs under the same umbrella, and one of those jobs had 25% of the complaints from the Better Business Bureau. So when you go to try to sign for an application, be like, all right, where should I work next? Well, this job right here, the Jacksonville Jaguars, they had 25% of the complaints. They had all these negative reviews. Why would I want to work there? And the reason why I'm saying that is because when the new regime comes in and you're trying to attract free agents, you're trying to build the culture and everything like that, you're trying to start from the ground up. Well, now you're behind the 8 ball a little bit because you got to deal with stuff from the past mistakes of the older regime, And I get it. Every new regime's got to deal with that. But now this just adds more and more to it because this makes the Jaguars look absolutely horrible.
Do you think this makes Doug Marrone look better? Because he tried to change things. He tried to go against Coughlin and a lot of the views, philosophical things this year. I think we agree on that.
Sure.
Does it make him look better? And if you're a free agent coming back to the NFL right now, does this genuinely scare you to come to Jacksonville, or is it still show me the money when it comes down to free agents? So let's talk about it next on ESPN 690, live from Academy Sports on Atlantic. Come on by. Say hello.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny skies today, warm, well above average, either side of 80 degrees. We'll be mostly clear tonight, down to the low 60s. With your First Alert forecast, I'm Action News Jax meteorologist Garrett Biedenball.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds. Where now through December 24th, get 20% off everything in the store, including loose diamonds, only at Beard's Diamonds.
Are you looking for the best wings around? I found the place. Listen up. Hey, everyone, it's Brent Martineau. Mr. Chubby's Wings is awesome. 2 locations, the West Side and in Fleming Island. They are a part of the community, too. Mr. Chubby's Wings wants to wish all of the high school teams good luck this fall. They've been supporting youth athletics for a decade. Get ready for the game at Mr. Chubby's. Celebrate the big win at Mr. Chubby's. Chub it up with the best wings around. Mr. Chubby's Wings on the West Side and in Fleming Island.
Every day, men and women from communities across this nation serve as Reserve Citizen Airmen.
I am proud to defend our nation.
Proud to be part of a team that helps make a difference.
I am proud to be part of something larger than me and to serve my country.
We celebrate those who have served and those who are proudly serving in the Air Force Reserve. Our mission is to fly, fight, and win in air, space, and cyberspace.
I am proud to be a member. I am proud to protect our...
Proud to serve in the U.S. Air Force Reserve.
Hey everybody, I'm Martineau. If you've received a letter from the IRS and can't pay them, things can get bad quickly. The IRS can seize your bank account, garnish your wages, and place liens against everything you own. If this is you, contact J. David Tax Law, a local firm right here in Jacksonville. Your first step to stop IRS harassment is a no-cost consultation. They explain exactly your options and how they will resolve your tax issue. Only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you, and fee payment plans are affordable for everyone. Get the protection you deserve. Peace of mind is only a click or phone call away. The fastest way to get started is to call 904-507-4777. 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com. The number again, 904-507-4777. Or online at jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Sí, very intrigued by the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
You know where you win games, Dan? In the trenches on Sundays.
Appreciate all your thoughts on this matter.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stuttgarts on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Hi, I'm Danny Warfel, 1996 Heisman winner, and you're watching Action Sports Jacks.
I mean, it definitely feels better. It feels really good, but we got that win. You know, great team win. Gardner's a dog, man. Offense stayed battling, defense stayed battling, man. We got to win.
Is that Avery?
That was Josh Allen.
Oh, Josh Allen, gotcha. Okay, he sounds like Avery a little bit.
Josh Allen, man, he's a cool guy. He really is. I like this guy a lot. I really do. I think he's a mature player. There's something about him. Met him at draft day around that time, and you could tell. He has the it factor, and he's dang good, man. I mean, he's such a good athlete. And then on top of that, he's been productive, and I think he's probably just scratching the surface. I kind of hate that phrase, but I really do think his ceiling is pretty darn high. Yeah. And now you start to look and build around potentially Yannick and Allen and switch to that 3-4.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brent, I'd love to get into that today a little bit with Josh Allen's skill set.
It might be
but
tomorrow.
But unfortunately, the Jaguars got in trouble, so now we got to talk about that the whole day.
It might be tomorrow.
I know.
But I will say this about Josh Allen. Just a little scene in the locker room after.
Yeah.
He's like he was slapping five with everybody, going around almost like he's a 10-year vet.
Sure.
And I think he was excited about the win. He spoke about the culture a little bit too, and saying this was a good win for us. We've kind of kept our nose down, and but we needed a result. We got a result. He kind of spoke about that. Seriously, did. That's what I meant when I said maybe some of that talk has rubbed off internally, because that's the way you need to be inside. You got to put the blinders on and hopefully get something out of this that will pay off down the road.
Well, and also builds you as a team even closer when the whole public doubts you. When the media doubts you and all you have is yourselves, you almost build that bond even more, and you kind of come together as a result.
And there's no doubt I felt that in that locker room yesterday. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They don't hate everybody on the outside.
No.
But they are galvanized.
It's us versus them kind of mentality.
They are certainly galvanized. And,
Yeah.
and you got to give credit to the leadership in that locker room. It's a place that has been void of leadership in that locker room for a good part of the decade at times. They just didn't have enough of them. I'm not saying certain guys weren't, but didn't have enough of them. And I think this is a sign that they do have some of it. But anyway, Allen's slapping 5, and I was like, hey, can we get you? Real quick. He's like, you mind waiting until everybody comes around? So, because there are a couple cameras over on the side. I was like, yeah, no problem. He's like, he's having so much. I was like, but I'll let you. You can ask the first question. Like, okay, great. I mean,
Score.
Not that I really care.
Nailed it.
But thanks. I appreciate you thinking of me. So anyway,
VIP access for Brent Martineau.
Yeah. So he's holding court, right? And he does. Before we're going over there. And they're talking about the sack. He's like, yeah, I got a half a sack here. I was like, no, man, you got credit for the whole sack.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, I did?
Oh, that's big news, man.
He's like,
yeah.
No, he said, really? No, I didn't. I got a half. No, you got credit for the full.
You just made his
did?
year.
He's like, I mean, my kids on Christmas morning.
Yeah, you just made that
haven't
dude's year.
looked like Josh Allen
dude.
looked because he hit that double-digit.
Of course.
And
yeah.
you could tell it meant something to him.
Mm-hmm.
And in the interview, it didn't come across as much, but you could really tell it meant something to him.
Awesome.
Which was pretty cool. So, all right, let's get back to this. We've got John Bachman coming in just a moment, but I got to answer these couple questions.
We do.
And we can elaborate on it more. Doug Marrone took a totally different approach from Tom Coughlin. Now that we see these grievances, there's no doubt he got feedback from the players. We've said that all along. And he tried to cater to the players a little bit more, keep them more fresh, keep them out of preseason games, not work them as hard in training camp, something Tom Coughlin would never sign off on. We've said that from day one. They've now butted heads a little bit. He shouted down the hallway in press conferences aimed at Tom Coughlin for not getting up and talking about the Ramsey stuff or other situations. And I think now, because when you lose, people start pointing fingers anyway, and I think there's a little bit of that. I've said in the last couple of weeks, if the Walls could talk right now, I think they would say some pretty interesting things. But my point is, did he sense this? Did he make the right move to distance himself from Coughlin and cater more to the players to get them to respond and say, listen, this might be what's going on up top, but I used to play in this league. I understand it. I get it. And I don't necessarily agree with it. And so I'm going to do things my way. And I've said all along, I thought Doug Marrone might have said, I'm doing things my way because if I'm going to go out, I'm going out on my terms.
Exactly.
But this has a little bit of that, too, to say, hey, you know what? I'm with you.
Yeah.
We'll stick together. We don't need the front office and the rest of this building. We need these 53 guys in this locker room, the guys in the meeting rooms. We need to stick together.
So here's from my perspective and my opinion on the whole Doug Marrone situation. Where, yes, he did take the player's side, right, because he eased up on training camp and eased up on all these things. And myself, I think a lot of people would argue the fact that maybe he eased up a little bit too much, right? Like maybe there should have been a little more physicality during training camp.
Well, it backfired.
But it backfired, for sure, because guess what? They got the results that they wanted. Everybody was healthy, but they weren't winning ball games, right? But here's where I actually think it went wrong. And here's what I think the results of that going wrong were. I think that you had a situation here with the front office, with Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone butting heads, and I think with what we're seeing now with the grievances from the NFLPA, I think we have a situation where Tom Coughlin wanted to do it his way, and obviously the locker room and the culture it wasn't buying into that, and I think it was so bad from that one aspect, Brent, where the other side, Doug Marrone tried to counterbalance it and say, you know what? We got to ease up a little bit. We got to do it my way. So he tried to counterbalance that rough culture type of thing, but he did it too much, right? Where he made practice a little too easy maybe. Maybe he eased up a little too easy on the players and things like that. So I think it's just a result of the culture being what it was with Coughlin and Doug Marrone saying, you know what, this is way too bad. We got to ease up a little bit. And in doing so, he made it too easy.
Well, you know how I feel about this, too. I feel like after 8 games, I was applauding Doug Marrone.
Yeah.
And I think you're right because it didn't work at the end of the day, and that's why Doug Marrone's going to lose his job most likely. But I also will say this, and I want to be consistent with this. Doug Marrone put these guys in a position to be healthy, to be fresh, to have involvement, kind of own it this season, be 4-4. And in my view, the way they played in the last 5 games outside of yesterday, they did nothing to reciprocate. Nothing to reciprocate. And you have to have players that do that. He was hoping they would own it and give it back.
Sure.
And they never did. And so I don't only put this on Doug,
No.
although at the end of the day, he'll be the fall guy because of it. I thought he set this up very nicely for the players, and they just didn't respond. And when your players don't respond, yeah, that does come back to the coach.
Well, yeah, it'd be one thing if like one player or two players here or there didn't respond. Maybe they had rough games.
Disaster.
But it was the entire team, right?
Yeah.
It was the collective. And anytime you're dealing with the collective and an entire team, well, then that does fall on coaching, unfortunately.
Did he try to distance himself from Coughlin, though? I mean, was it that obvious? Or was he just trying a new tact?
No, honestly, I think it's a little bit of both because Doug Marrone played the game. He understands what it takes to win. He understands how training camps are ran. And I understand this modern era NFL player now, it's obviously different than when he played.
Absolutely.
And it's different than when I played as well.
Every person in the NFL will tell you that.
Exactly. But I still think he understands the landscape. I think he understands the players. So I think it was a little combination of, one, trying to counterbalance what the culture was initiated with Tom Coughlin, and two, just trying to have his players back and try to get the players' respect a little bit because all things considered from that locker room, what we're hearing, there were some problems with the culture.
Yeah. All right, last one. John, we can bring you in. How you doing, man?
Hey, fellas, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Good. Sorry, we got a lot going on here. I don't know if this will hit the news cycle tonight, but it's probably a little complicated for some. This grievance stuff that the Jaguars are being called out on by the NFLPA. 25% of the grievances in the last 2 years have come against the Jacksonville Jaguars organization and from Jaguars players. So certainly not a good look for this team, for the franchise, for Tom Coughlin. And I guess what I would say next is Shad Khan. I mean, he owns the football team. I don't know I don't know how this comes across the desk. I really don't. Like, I don't know if you have 10 grievances filed against you from the NFLPA. I don't know if you get an email every time one of those gets filed. I don't know if it comes out maybe every quarter of how many got filed. I just don't know how that works. So I don't really know, is this a sign that Shad Khan is not involved day to day and just left this to Tom Coughlin, which we know he has. I mean, Tom Coughlin, he hired Tom Coughlin to run the football.
Sure.
I don't even think we're going to get a statement, by the way, from Shad Khan on this because I think Tom Coughlin handles the football stuff. That's what he hired him to do. At this time, I don't think we're even going to get that. And I don't think we're going to get a statement from Tom. Well, maybe we do get a statement from Tom Coughlin, but Tom doesn't talk very much.
I mean, I hope there's a statement from someplace to try to justify this,
or at least give their side.
Well, of course, just clear this up a little bit.
Versus side. I mean, is the NFLPA spinning this a certain way? Could that be the case?
I mean, it could be. I mean, I think they have the numbers there. Like, as far as the numbers are concerned, they're not fabricating these numbers that are coming out.
Yeah, it wouldn't look like it.
Yeah, 25% of the grievances filed have come from one team. You can't make that up. So if I was an organization, I would definitely release some kind of press release or some kind of press conference to try to make ourselves a little better here because let's be honest, this is a black eye right now for the Jaguars organization. And as far as Shad Khan's concerned, I get it. He doesn't tend to the day-to-day stuff, right? Like he's hired people for that. But at the same time, and listen, I don't know if these grievances came across his desk all at once. I don't know if each time a grievance is filed, if he sees that, but that shouldn't matter. If there's grievances going on in a locker room, in a training room, whatever it is, the chain of command, it should get back to him. There should be that communication line. And if Shad Khan comes out and says, I didn't know this was going on, well, then that falls on you, man, because you set up a culture that has zero communication. It seems like the trend this year of the Jacksonville Jaguars, whether it was with Jalen Ramsey on the sideline and then him and Doug Marrone not talking right after. It took a couple weeks to even hash it out. If it's those kind of things that keep on happening in this stadium, well, it falls directly on top, and that's Shad Khan. So there has to be the communications that are open.
What we have here is a failure to communicate, John, it sounds like.
I feel like, what is that from again? That's from Patton?
It's a great line that's been sampled, and now I can't even tell you because it's been used.
Oh no, that's full Metal Jacket. Yeah, I was way off. Full Metal Jacket. There we go.
Yeah, and it's been used in a bunch of songs. By the way,
what's his name? Used to come to the Guns N' Hoses event.
Oh,
who's the star guy?
Oh yeah, Jackson.
No,
Action Jackson.
Is that it? That doesn't sound familiar to me. I'm bad at the actor game.
I am too.
What do you got coming up
Somebody
tonight,
tweet
John?
us. Somebody tweet Brent. Hey, I heard you guys talking about the grievances. Do we know how many were filed? I know you said 25% were from the Jags, but do we know how many that is? And have they broken down how many came from one person or not?
Yeah, somebody asked on Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know it, man. I mean, we don't.
We don't know. Nobody
knows. What
knows.
is 25%? But in their thing, they say one player was fined 25 times by himself for $700,000. So did they file a grievance every single time? Mark Long has since tweeted out that from the Associated Press that player was Dante Fowler Jr. So, does I don't know.
Yeah.
I could make something up. I just have no idea. Did they normally get 50? They get 100? Austin, as a former player, gave us a little bit of insight that as a team, they one time filed a grievance, and only one time in his career did it pass through.
So these are grievances that actually pass through then?
Well, I think this whole arbitration was part of that. Okay. I think eventually they all passed through to get to arbitration, and the NFL's PA side won. The players won the grievance against the Jags because, according to this, Dante didn't have to pay the $700,000, and now the Jaguars have been put on notice as an organization. Wow. So what else that means, again, this is kind of new territory. I mean, we'll have to find out a little bit more of this info. Do the Jaguars talk about it, what it all means? And, again, there are two sides to every story.
Sure.
This is the NFL. The NFLPA is about to go to bat with the NFL on a CBA.
Yeah.
They're going to fight things that might seem ridiculous to the public, and then the NFL will put it on a different side. You might be like, oh, yeah, they got a good point. Do the Jaguars have a good point in any of this that we don't know about? Well, that's up to them if they want to communicate that with everyone else. But they have not yet.
Yeah. All right.
What do you got tonight?
Well, we've got a bunch of stuff going on in news, actually. You've probably heard the two children who are missing. They've been missing for more than 30 hours now. Braxton and Briah Williams, brother and sister, over on the west side, and everything that you could possibly fear is on the table. Unfortunately, they don't know what happened to these little kids, and so we've got the very latest. Multiple teams covering that for us. Here's another story that I find fascinating. Anybody have a Ring camera at home? Do you guys have the Ring cameras? Whether it's the doorbell camera or other security cameras in your house?
I do not, but I have seen them before on commercials and stuff. I don't have them personally.
So last week we did a story about these hackers hacking into this one family's home and just terrorizing this family for absolutely no reason, of course, and basically for the pure joy of it, right? Just being mean.
Yeah.
And tonight we have another case of this. In other words, hackers are doing this. There are forums where hackers get together and they do it for sport. It's oh my gosh, it makes me so mad. So I think we should find out some of these guys and send Austin and bring them in the ring with Austin.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Absolutely, and I'll be right behind him.
I'll
be right behind Austin.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
do it, Brent. I mean,
exactly.
John, is that what you want? You just say the word, John, and I'll start knocking down some doors if need be to find out who these people are.
Here's what I want to do. You can be behind him, Brent. I want to be in front. I want to rough him up a little bit, and then when I get into trouble, I'm just going to be like, all right, your turn, Austin.
I'm kind of good. I'm not going to mess with hackers, man.
I'm on the other
side. I feel like hackers
hackers
run deep, and the last thing I want to do is like have them be in,
So you don't want to make hackers mad?
No, absolutely not.
Are you saying you're scared of hackers?
I mean, a little bit. You aren't?
No.
Oh, wow.
I'm not.
Say it loud and proud, John. Let them come after you, then.
I'm not scared.
Did you just say you don't like hackers?
Me? I do not like hackers.
I just wanted that line to run somewhere and
especially
resonate around
these kind of folks, right? Like, I mean, these are everyday people living in their homes, and these guys are getting on their cameras and scaring the living you-know-what out of them. It's
people
brutal.
are bored,
It's
John.
mean. Well, that's true.
I got initiated, by the way, in the black hole this weekend. So
yeah, I'm just glad you made it back from there, Brent.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I made it back.
Was there an incident at all? I thought they were pretty friendly. Like I saw in the video, like you were recording them when you first got there.
Oh, that was at first. They were a little. If you saw the video after, there was a lady that got bloodied from.
Oh, I saw that. There was
a
kid that was crying because he kind of got smushed a little bit.
Would you ever bring your kid to that game? I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's tough. It's crazy thing is they had a lot of. I asked the security folks. They had extra. Weapons, if you will, like batons and stuff like that, just in case. They were ready because the last time they had stormed the field. So they had extra security.
Yeah.
Because last year they thought they weren't going to play ever again before they went back to it this year. And so they were ready for just about anything. But what's interesting is they're so used to stuff there. When people were throwing stuff on the field, like toward the end,
Yeah.
they weren't even really reacting. They were just quietly going to pick it up and put it off to the side. Like they were like, well, that's nothing.
Fans will be fans.
They were like,
yeah.
Is that all you got?
they were like, well, they haven't thrown a chair yet, at least.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't see a body being thrown down here. I mean, it was like they had such a patience level with Gatorade bottles being thrown down on the field.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. But I will say this: it wasn't as I never really thought it was dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure people are throwing stuff, so yes, it was dangerous.
Yeah.
But I was down there. I mean,
Yeah.
I looked up a couple times like, okay, this could get ugly it's going to hurt if you get hit with one now.
Of course.
But I never really felt like it was, oh my, like the tension never rose to that much.
I was
I
surprised
almost expected
because
worse.
Yeah, I would have too, because it's the last game. They're mad they're leaving, and then to lose the game like that, oh my gosh.
Well, that's the thing, and the way I described it yesterday on social media was, I think they were ready to throw a party after the last win, and that game was in the books. And then all of a sudden they got so stunned that they didn't even have a chance to get boiling mad.
Yeah.
Like if they were losing the whole game, they would have been boiling and thinking about all the things that they would have been doing.
Yeah.
But they didn't even have a chance. It just happened so fast. Bam, they missed a field goal. Jags go down and score. Time runs out. Jags win. Like,
there was
did that
shock.
really just happen?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I felt like that because the Jags won. I was like, did the Jags really just win this game?
Yeah, it didn't really set in probably until they got to the parking lot.
Yeah.
Then the parking lot was
Who knows what
mess.
happened in the parking lot?
Oh, who knows?
That, I guarantee it was ugly.
I'm
They
sure there was
missed
a
two
couple
field goals
scenes.
too, didn't they, by the way?
They did, yeah.
Yeah, they missed it twice.
Unbelievable.
I took my daughter to an establishment. I know, I'm a good dad. And we were eating wings, and we were watching the Jags and the Vikings game on side-by-side televisions. And when the Jags, I could tell there was a possibility they're going to win this thing, I started recording. And I have video evidence that there is no apathy in Jacksonville for the Jags, at least not at that particular establishment. It was great. It was fun. People cheered. It was like we just won a playoff game.
Listen, there's not apathy in Jacksonville. People just want to see something that's entertaining and has a chance to win.
Yeah.
And for the last 6 weeks, 5 games, but 6 weeks because of bye week, and 3 quarters, it never felt like that.
Right.
And so as soon as that fourth quarter happened, then people flipped on the TV. The ratings spiked in the fourth quarter because people heard the Jags were coming back and the Minshew stuff was happening, and you can see it. I mean, I saw it in the ratings in the final 15 minutes. That game was pretty good. The rest of the game, not so great.
Mm-hmm.
But so it's really not – I don't think it's apathy. It's more entertainment.
That's what I mean.
You want to be entertained by.
Yeah, no, but I mean, you don't want as a fan, as an organization, you don't want fan apathy. And my point is that people haven't just decided to dismiss the Jags. That's all I'm saying.
There has been time that you wondered if there was. I don't even question that right now. I just don't think that's even enters the equation. All right, John Bachman.
Oh, John, one quick thing, guys. I got a little word on Twitter. So what we have here is a failure to communicate. It's from Cool Hand Luke.
Cool Hand Luke.
And I'm embarrassed. Yeah, it's not from Full Metal Jacket. I'm going to go and turn in my movie card right now. Sorry, guys. I'll let you guys down.
You at least had one because I've never had one.
Yeah,
so,
I did not.
Unless it's from Caddyshack or Strange Brew, I've got nothing.
I have
Nice
no
combination.
expectation, so it doesn't matter to me. All right, John Bachman, 5 o'clock tonight, some big news stories going on, so pay attention to CBS 47 and Fox 30, along with Tanika Hughes and Mike Borish, and we'll join them. By the way, Jags Report Live coming up tonight from Top Golf at 7 o'clock. We'll talk about the latest Jags win, so make sure you check out Action News Jax all night long. Thanks, John.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
All right, some responses, and by the way, including a response from Dante Fowler Jr., who quote tweeted Field Yates and says, Field Yates said, wow, during the 2018 offseason, the Jaguars fined a player 25 times, totaling $700,000 for missing out on mandatory treatments that were not actually allowed to be mandatory. Well, Mark Long since said that it was Dante Fowler. Well, Dante Fowler, I think, since said that it was Dante Fowler because he tweeted out in the last 20 minutes, they literally hated me. I got it all back, though, thanks to the NFL.
Got a nice little Christmas bonus.
Interesting. It's really amazing. Rachel FLA says, when is Tom Coughlin going to respond? I don't know if I even expect a statement from the Jaguars. I don't know because Tom Coughlin doesn't usually respond in a reactionary way. Shad Khan certainly doesn't respond in a reactionary way, and I think he's 2 weeks away from making a pretty powerful statement with his actions. So I would be shocked if Shad Khan does anything, from what I understand. And Tom Coughlin, that's a different animal. I don't know if he wants to address this or not to maybe protect his side of things. I could see if they think differently or they don't think this is being pushed out there correctly, that maybe they will address it. But I don't see anything yet, although I haven't checked my email in the last little bit.
Well, and listen, Brent, you asked me, too, from a player's perspective, does this affect players now coming to Jacksonville, right?
Yes.
And I never had the luxury of picking where I wanted to go play, right? Like, I was going to go play whoever took me, and I was happy for that. But from the perspective of the players, like, does this affect how they feel about Jacksonville now? I absolutely think it does. Because granted, while this could be one man's decision and that man might not be here next year, once again, like I said, there's the inner circles, and then there's talkings all the time. There's rumblings. And it's going to get out that, you know what, Jacksonville, their program that they run, may not be the tightest kind of ship, right? And especially nowadays with the modern era player where self-awareness is so key and taking care of yourself is so important. Well, all of a sudden, if this comes out now saying, well, yeah, you got to have mandatory treatments here and here, like, that's not going to help anything. So it's not like college from the recruiting standpoint, but I'm just saying for – free agents out there or even guys getting drafted, I mean, there's going to be rumblings saying, you know what, Jacksonville, I don't know how I feel about that one. Until a statement comes out.
I still think money talks, and I think if you're getting more, it's usually more money no matter what.
Brent, that's not always the case, man. I mean, the Patriots are a prime example. People want to go win and play for a good culture as opposed to getting that paycheck.
Patriots are a prime example, but they get guys that are on the back nine and maybe like the 18th hole of their career.
Randy Moss?
Well, how much more did Randy Moss play after he joined the Patriots?
Well, he got in some trouble, though, to be fair. There was some stuff that went on out the field, I thought.
I'll have to check his numbers, but I think that was the back nine, man. That was okay. Now, he was fantastic with them.
He was.
But I don't think he played much more football after the Patriots. Okay. Maybe another year or two. But maybe the trouble. I'll have to go revisit that.
He spent some time in Tennessee. Remember, he was a Tennessee Titan for a bit.
Tennessee, you're
yeah,
right.
And the only reason I remember that is because after the Titans game, my friend goes up to me after the game. He's like, dude, you played against Randy Moss. I go, we played against Randy Moss? And my friend was like, yeah, he's on the Titans. I'm like,
where?
I had no idea, man. So I didn't really check my scouting report.
If
it might have
last
been.
Year, that would have been 10. So then, in fairness, he played probably another 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So,
shows you how much I was checking the scouting reports, I guess.
But I just feel like the Patriots I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to get the Chris Longs who say, I want to go and win a Super Bowl ring.
Sure.
I don't need the money. I could get paid somewhere else. I want to go. I've already made my money.
Yeah.
I feel like the Patriots get more
that's
of
a fair point, too.
Because, listen, the Patriots ain't a fun organization to play for all the time either, other than the winning.
But when you're winning, yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
I mean, it's not fun in Bill Belichick with –
It's
not a lot of fun.
No, and there's been some players who have left there and said it wasn't fun at all, and they hated it. So I understand your point, but at the same time, I think culture is important.
Ebony Brown says, this is a terrible look. I'm embarrassed for this organization right now. George says, my goodness, the shot and rest of management want everyone to hate him. This is monumental. I said Dante. Let's see what else we got. Got a lot of Newly said TC needs to go, although once a great head coach, his time has passed. There's a new NFL out there. I think he has controlled a lot of what Doug has done behind the scenes. I would disagree with that. I think Doug has kind of flipped that script, at least here in 2019, and done it his way. Jolly old AB says, how has Shad not already issued a statement? I don't think that's happening. Fire him now in terms of TC. I guess it's more important to talk about viability. Viability has been a hot word with the fan base, as you know, the last month or so, dating back to the London stuff. Bobby says, as far as Jaguar grievances, doesn't make a difference if all the grievances from the Jaguars are all from one player or multiple. And that is interesting because if you have a lot of them from just Dante Fowler Jr., did they mishandle one player?
Yeah.
Was it one player they had a problem with? Mm-hmm. Did they already have a little bit of a history on that one player, which is accurate they did?
Well, and say what you want about it. If it was just one player, guess what? That player ended up being right because he got paid for it. So he was in the right and they were in the wrong.
Yeah.
Enough said.
But my point is I think they already had things done with obviously Dante, right? The fighting on the field in the practice, the grocery store incident.
Yeah.
Who knows what they didn't tell us what happened with Dante Fowler. And I think there's a lot of belief that there were some things with Dante Fowler. So maybe that's why they took this tack with him as a player. So I think it's a fair point. Are most of these violations, these grievances with just Dante and then others sprinkled in here and there? Although I got to believe, and I tell you this, the Jalen Ramsey part of this, which we're going to get into next, the player's side of this, Jalen, Yannick Ngakwe's deal, Dante, I think it goes back way before the comments of Tom Coughlin. I'll elaborate on that a little bit more, and you wonder if I think there's a time where he might have filed a grievance, is my point, against Tom Coughlin that people forget about.
Okay.
I'll bring that one up. The player's side of this, where did it all go wrong with this organization, and especially a conversation point we've hit on several times in the last 5 months. They're star players. They're big-name players. Is there a problem with how the Jaguars handled them in particular? We'll get to that. Your thoughts as well. Star 690 904-362-9901. We're at Academy Sports and Outdoors on Atlantic. Here live on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. The Jaguars found a way to win yesterday in the swan song of the Oakland Coliseum. The team rallied around quarterback Gardner Minshew as Duval took the lead for the first time with less than a minute left, which proved to be enough to close it out and make the Raiders' last home game in the Bay a loss. Here's Gardner Minshew on what it was like to beat Oakland in their own Coliseum.
Probably saw more middle fingers today than I have in my whole life, but no, they have a good time, man, and it was fun to ruin that for them.
And in one final true Raider fashion move, the Oakland fans booed the team as they went to the locker room and threw things onto the field, including pieces of their seats. The team moves to Las Vegas next year. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices, premium service, and TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
When the time comes to get your roof replaced, call Big Fish Roofing. We don't require any upfront deposits, and we are locally owned and operated by Jacksonville natives who have built their business on quality and integrity. At Big Fish Roofing, we know your roof is the first line of defense against the elements, so we make sure to deliver a quality project in a timely manner. You can find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing, or give us a call at 904-685-8334.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
Our veterans risked it all to protect our freedom. One of the best ways to say thank you is to volunteer to support them. At a time in history where kindness is a virtue, volunteering means a lot. For over 47 years, Help Heal Veterans, a not-for-profit organization with the support of citizens like you, have delivered therapy kits to veterans who need them. To volunteer or learn more, visit healvets.org. That's healvets.org.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
Say hello to your new secret advertising weapon, your own branded mobile phone number. StarStar Mobile provisions vanity mobile numbers prefixed by StarStar, providing audiences an easy way to reach your business. Give it a try now by dialing StarStar Mobile from your mobile phone. That's StarStar Mobile. When prospective customers see your offline or online ad and they dial your branded StarStar Mobile number, StarStar Mobile helps to convert them through text, voice, and online communications. Give it a try now by dialing StarStar Mobile from your mobile phone. That's StarStar Mobile.
There's a new sports medicine practice in Jacksonville.
Hi, my name is Stan Longnecker.
Hi, I'm Dr. Grimsley.
I'm Dr. Michael Adams.
Ortho Edge.
We don't use PAs in my practice. We believe that the patient pays money for a doctor and should be seen by a doctor.
They're getting the most technologically available medicine there is.
Ortho Edge.
You're going to get a much better experience with your physician. We all see our patients every time.
Find out more about us at orthoedge.com.
We're in the DePaul building attached to St. Vincent's Medical Center, Riverside.
What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lee on ESPN 690, and I need you, your friends, and family to meet me at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena Saturday, December 21st for the Jacksonville Icemen's Drive for 10,000 Teddy Bears. I know what you're thinking, hockey and teddy bears, but check this out. When the Icemen score their first goal, fans will be encouraged to throw their teddy bears and other stuffed animals on the ice. These stuffed animals will then be donated to the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville, so thousands of local kids are going to have their holiday shine a little brighter. There is no limit to the amount of stuffed animals that you can bring. This may be the only time where you're actually encouraged to throw things at a sporting event. So let's have some fun, let's cheer on the Icemen, and try to break an ECHL teddy bear toss record, all while doing our part in making sure local kids in need have a special holiday as well. It's the Drive for 10,000 Teddy Bears supporting the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville this Saturday, December 21st. Get your tickets now at jacksiceman.com/Teddy19. That's jacksiceman.com/Teddy19, and let's put some teddy bears on ice.
Hey guys, this is Allie McDeal from both Best Bet Card Rooms. Best Bet's annual Winter Poker Series will be starting on January 17th at our Jacksonville location. With 12 poker events, the Best Bet Winter Poker Series has something for everyone, including the main event featuring an $1,100 buy-in with a $200,000 guaranteed prize pool. Whether you're looking for a low-limit or a high-limit event, the Best Bet annual Winter Poker Series will have a seat for you this January. Experience the best at Best Bet Jacksonville.
The most wonderful time of the year deserves the most wonderful sale of the year. And for that, you gotta go see Arlington Toyota, where you can still get huge Toyotathon savings and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s. With over 1,000 new and used on the lot every day, that's a whole lot of Toyotathon savings happening right now at Arlington. How about a 2019 Toyota Camry? It's not $19,745. Now it's only $15,581. That's $15,581 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota Camry at Arlington. Gotta have a 2019 Toyota RAV4? It's not $22,925. No way. Now it's just $19,481. Just $19,481 for a pre-owned 2019 Toyota RAV4 XLE at Arlington. Plus, you're going to get all the rewards and benefits of the Arlington Toyota $5,000 Advantage Club with your purchase. Toyotathon is on, but it won't last forever. Get in today and pay up to 50% less on remaining 2019s at Arlington Toyota. In person at 10939 Atlantic Boulevard and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com. Visit arlingtontoyota.com/Toyotathon for offer details.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, it helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard. Aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
WOKV AM's license will expire on February 1st, 2020. We have filed an application for renewal with the FCC. A copy of this application is available for public inspection at www.fcc.gov. It contains information concerning this station's performance during the last 8 years. Individuals who wish to advise the FCC of facts relating to our renewal application and to whether this station has operated in the public interest should file comments and petitions with the FCC by January 2nd, 2020. Further information concerning the FCC's broadcast license renewal process is available at 11700 Central Parkway, Unit 1, Jacksonville, Florida, 32224, or may be obtained from the FCC, Washington, D.C. 20554. www.fcc.gov.
Tedeschi Trucks with St. Paul and the Broken Bones and Gabe Dixon are coming to Daly's Place June 26, 2020. You can win a free pair of tickets this week from ESPN 690. To register, go to the contest tab on ESPN690.com. See Tedeschi Trucks live with ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and in the iHeartRadio app.
Unbelievable atmosphere. You know, I haven't been up here quite a bit, and a very difficult place to win. And I think when you get out there early in the game, pre-game I'm talking about, you kind of just look around the sideline. You know, you're seeing all these great players, you know, these legends, Hall of Famers. You know, a lot of memory. If you love football and you're a football historian, which I am, there's a lot of great things. And I told our players it was going to be a hostile crowd. We need to, use that energy.
Well, that's Doug Marrone. He got a win yesterday. First time in 7 weeks the Jaguars have won a football game. So good feeling for Doug Marrone, who's tried to keep this thing together. Again, I think there's been a lot of praise at times for Doug Marrone and how he's kept it together. I think internally, I think there's a lot of praise inside Jags headquarters for the job Doug Marrone has done. And I think it's how should I say it? Praise is probably not the right word. They lost 5 games in a row, and they're going to miss the playoffs and go 5-9. So praise is not the right word. But how he's handled some things and how he kept at least those first 8 weeks in line. And now how he's had to manage maybe the same stuff that some of these players have had to manage after the news of today. So, again, more info will come out on this. But there's some people that will tell you is like, Doug Marrone's the least of the worries, the least of the problems.
Yeah.
It just depends who you believe and who you hear things from and all those kind of things. But the walls are talking right now at Jags headquarters, that's for sure. We are at Academy Sports and Outdoors on Atlantic. Jaguars players will be here, and some are already here, for an event to make the holidays brighter for some kids from the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida. So very cool. I think some bikes and helmets. And
I see a lot of bikes out here. It's a cool scene.
So really
you remember being a kid and getting that bike on Christmas, man.
Awesome.
There's no better feeling. So it's really cool to see out here.
So that's why we're here. I thought it would be a cool thing, cool backdrop to be a part of during the holidays. Maybe get a little Christmas shopping done.
Yeah.
You can buy me something if you want, Austin. I'll go pick something out, the most expensive thing, hopefully.
Well, I'll have to see the baseball section. Right now we're in the football section, so we'll have to go over the baseball, see what I can get you.
All right, here's the deal, man. As we potentially could have a player stop by in the next few minutes. So
cool.
But until then, Jalen Ramsey wanted out of here.
Yep.
Jalen Ramsey was Dante Fowler now becomes a big focal point in this discussion. And he just tweeted, that Dante said they hated me there.
Yeah.
He said they hated me.
Pretty strong words.
And he just said that on Twitter in the last half hour.
Mm-hmm.
He was fined $700,000 because of 25 different violations for not working out at the facility, which was required by the Jags, but illegally required by the Jags, according to the NFLPA. Mm-hmm. And he ended up getting his money back and all that stuff, so a nice little Christmas bonus for Dante Fowler. The other big player, I think, when it comes to the front office against the Jaguars, and really Dante wasn't the biggest, is Jalen Ramsey. He wanted out. He said he didn't respect Tom Coughlin, and I think he kind of put Dave Caldwell into that as well after the blow-up with Doug Marrone in Houston and how that all materialized. A lot of people think it started back in the spring when Tom Coughlin called him and Telvin Smith out for not attending voluntary workouts in OTAs.
Yeah, that's kind of where I took it from.
Yeah, I think it started prior. I think if you look at what happened last training camp, I'm talking 2018 training camp, when Jalen Ramsey got suspended by the team for a week for how he reacted to the media publicly. And they said other things. I think behind the scenes there were some other things that they had issue with.
Yeah.
But really the main point was when he shouted at the media and then continued on social media against some of the media.
Yeah.
In that one instance where there was a fight, ironically, I think, between Dante Fowler Jr. and I want to say James O'Shaughnessy. And Yannick was involved as well. But I think O'Shaughnessy was kind of involved in that thing too.
Okay.
I think could there potentially have been a grievance filed back then by Jalen Ramsey? I'd never heard of a player getting suspended for a week because of what he said to the media, whether it's on social media or not. Mm-hmm. And so I always think that's where this all started with Jalen Ramsey. Everybody said the spring, and I'm convinced that was a big part of it too. And then, of course, the blow-up in Houston. And then not really the blow-up on the sideline, but what happened after that in the bowels of that stadium in Houston, and what was said to him he didn't like, and then called his agent, said, get me out of here, and that started the whole thing. But I think it actually started way back 2018 training camp because of how that went down with Jalen versus the media and then that suspension that ensued. And I don't know if you can file a grievance because of that.
Sure.
But I wouldn't have been shocked if that was a grievance moment for Jalen Ramsey and his team.
So basically what you're saying is it's kind of your fault because you're part of the media back then. You got blocked on Twitter.
I did get blocked.
This is pretty much your fault.
By the way, I filed a grievance against a lot of people for being blocked by Jalen Ramsey on Twitter.
How did that pan out?
He unblocked me.
Oh, there you go. So it was. I guess you got what you wanted. No, and that's a great point, and it's kind of an opinion that I've never really thought of before. But and it's funny. I'm going to kind of let you behind the curtain a little bit quick here. So during training camp, every single year, we have to have the team meeting about the media, right? And they tell us basically where we have to treat them with respect. We have to answer a certain amount of questions. Well, I guess if you want to hold the player to a higher standard, sometimes you can. But overall, the fact that it was over the media, that it is kind of baffling to me.
Absolutely. We're going to continue that conversation in just a moment, but right now we have Leonard Fournette joining us here at Academy Sports and Outdoors and helping out the kids today. And we may have some hard-hitting questions for you, Leonard, but first let's go shopping. You're going to have to hold that pretty close. Right. We appreciate you joining us, man. Thanks. And you do so much in the community. You do so much for the kids, whether it's giving cleats before a game or taking pictures. I think we always have said this and noticed this about you. It's pretty cool how you treat the fans, how you understand that part of it. You're a superstar in the NFL, and you appreciate that the kids look up to you. What's it like to be here around the holidays? And look at those bikes back there. You guys will put a lot of smiles on kids' faces.
Yeah, it's about giving back. You know, I didn't have the opportunity of some of the former NFL players come to where I grew up and give back to us. So why not use my platform and try to motivate the next generation to do bigger things than what I'm doing right now, what we're doing as a whole. So it's all about giving back. And I have kids of my own, you know, and I love seeing smiles on their faces. So why not try to put a smile on the world's face?
Leonard, where does that mindset come from? Because, I mean, you've always been great in the community, but this year it seems like you took another step, right? Like I saw you singing happy birthday to a child during training camp and things like that. It seems like you're going above and beyond this year to kind of say what's up to the kids and everything. Where does that mindset come from?
I mean, that's just who I've always been. You know, I had a couple of incidents over the last couple of years. You know, that's just part of the growing process, number one. And just understanding, you know, I'm always going to be hold to a higher level than everyone else. Mm-hmm. You know, and this is me growing and trying to develop that in my mind and getting an understanding of that. I think that's what it's all about.
Leonard Fournette with us, Jaguars running back. Hey, man, this has been a good season for you individually. I know it's been a tough stretch. It was a nice win yesterday. Yeah. But how proud of you of this season, how you've responded, how you've grown, whether it's maturity. I don't know if you like to use that word or not, but I think it's a word we use on the outside quite a bit. It looks like you've grown up a lot as a pro and as a player, and you're having a nice year, 1,500 yards, over 1,000 yards. They've been tough yards. Yeah. Yeah. But how proud of you of that, of what you've become here in the NFL?
I'm very proud. You know, it's always better than have a year that I had last year for number one. And also just the growth, you know, just know I have kids of my own. You know, they're watching me, you know, after I can remember after the incident I got arrested, you know what I mean? And then my dad was like, Daddy, why you went to jail? So that kind of hit me a different way, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And just make sure I take care of my business prior to that, before everything, and just try to lead the best way I can that I know I can be and what I've did my entire life.
How 16 games to make it through, knock on wood, get these next two. Is that almost just as big to you as maybe the yardage and all those other things?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, I thank God. You know what I mean? He kept me healthy through this entire season. And some of that is from my hard work I put through in the off season. Just staying focused, you know, my diet, just staying on little things. And also Milo helped me keep my body intact.
What is your role here today at Academy Outdoor Sports and Outdoor, and given the bikes? Do the kids even know? I mean, is it a surprise for them?
It's a surprise.
They kind of know what's going on?
It's a surprise. So it's not just me, but Miles coming too.
Yeah,
you know,
Miles Jack. Yeah,
Miles coming too. So kind of idea we put together with ourselves to get back to the kids. You know, my kids are gonna have thousands of toys, but why not try to help someone else? You know, inspire someone else. You know, that's the whole concept of this. Is also about giving back. You know, and just doing it from our hearts. You know, it's not for television or anything. We're just doing it from our hearts, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember I sat down with you before the season, and you talked about that. That's you.
Yeah.
You know, that's people might not understand that, and I know sometimes football players, Austin played for the Jags, can almost be looked at as selfish a little bit. But you kind of are a guy that wants to help everybody. Maybe too many people at times.
Yeah.
And you moved some folks out of your life this year because of that. But what does it? Why do you like to help so much, and therefore take a leadership role maybe in your locker room? And how does that trickle down to the football field? Because now you're a guy that people look up to in that locker room.
Yeah, I think that's just who I am, my character. You know, and especially in the locker room. You know, like I said, it's been one of the hardest seasons I ever had in my life. You know what I mean? Just trying to overcome a lot of the things, like coming from a loss or back-to-back losses, and just trying to come in with a positive attitude to come into practice, you know. And that's hard to do, especially we all young men, some of us grown men, you know what I mean, have our own pride, our own characteristics, you know what I mean? So just trying to put that to the side and put the team first. And I think that's what we did. You know, Jan gave us a speech. You know, he's been seeing us work hard during practice. Like I say, we worked hard this whole year. You know what I mean? Not one practice anybody slipped up. I felt like nobody didn't give it 110%, and we did. Just the quarter didn't fall on the right side for us. You know?
And Leonard, from your perspective, I mean, you know, this offseason you took it upon yourself to go train in Wyoming a little bit. You went off the grid. I've been to Wyoming, dude. There ain't much out there, you know what I'm saying? You went off the grid a little bit.
None at all.
And I think one could assume you probably put the most work in you ever did before, you know, to try to prep yourself for this season. So you put all the work in and everything, and you're obviously seeing the results on the field now. You're still healthy. You're having a great season. But the team in general, you know, they haven't been performing up to the expectations that was set before them. So from your standpoint, just I guess how frustrating, what is your mindset now? Because you know, you put the work in, you're seeing the results from yourself, but obviously on the team, it's a team game. The team hasn't performed up to the expectations.
You get a lot of negative and positive from that, you know. Number one, just knowing what I have to do next offseason, do the same thing, you know, keep my body intact. Number two, my attitude, make sure I check that at the door before training camp, something I did this training camp. And also, I don't know if there's better ways to lead. You know, I try my best this year, but like I say, just go and talk a lot to a lot of people, and just try to figure some things out. What can I do better? You know what I mean? So one thing, you know, Marcus out on the field yesterday, man. He told me I was doing a great job. You know, just handling everything. So I guess I'm doing okay, but I'm going to try to take it up to the next level as far as being a leader on the team.
And from your leadership standpoint, would you consider yourself more of a vocal guy in the locker room, or are you more kind of like the lead by example type?
I say both.
Okay.
You know, I talk when I have to talk, and I lead when I have to lead, you know. So that's time and place for everything, to be honest.
I think it was pretty cool. You sought out Marcus Allen, your dad, all those when things weren't going great. That kind of settled you down a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, another sign of maturity. All right, I got to ask you the tough one. There's stuff out today about the Jags and grievances from the NFLPA players the last couple of years. I mean, we saw Jalen Ramsey want out of here.
Yeah.
Dante Fowler Jr. just tweeted they hated me here. You're a guy that they took away some things after last year. Is this a problem in Jacksonville?
I don't know, you know, but I know, like, as far as the money part, you know, I think it's kind of extreme sometimes, you know what I mean? But to see what I seen today that came out, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Individually, I don't know what happens or what caused it, but, you know, I'm glad he got his money back or he's getting his money back, whatever the case may be. But I think Coach Doug is doing an excellent job of trying to communicate with the players and build a better relationship with the players, for number one. You know, so that's all I can speak on with Coach Doug.
One last one. Do you like it in Jacksonville? You want to be here? You want to be one of the staples, the face of the franchise guys? Because right now you are.
Yeah.
But you've got 1 year left on your contract. That's it. I mean, you still want to be here?
Yeah, most definitely. I love it here. The people love me. It's my second home. So I enjoyed every bit of it.
Leonard Fournette, Jaguars running back, continued great season. Didn't even really talk about the win that much, but it was a nice win yesterday in the Black Hole, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Thanks for joining us, man.
Appreciate it.
Leonard Fournette, Jaguars running back. We appreciate him stopping by, helping out the kids from the Boys and Girls Club in Northeast Florida. A lot of new bikes over there, new helmets, and a ton of smiles on their faces. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more talking about the Jags and maybe even about the football stuff on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Fact. About half of all men will experience ED or PE. Fact. Both ED and PE are highly treatable. Fact. A safe, effective treatment is just a call away. At Prime Men's Medical Center, our highly skilled doctors guarantee results on your first visit, or there's no charge. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Rabinski. If Viagra, Cialis, or Levitra have let you down, the treatments at Prime Men's Medical Center work immediately, regardless of your age or medical history. You'll receive custom blended medications designed just for you. They're safe and effective with no pain and no surgery. Patients are lasting 30, 60, 90 minutes or longer. And best of all, the treatments are affordable.
Men, if you want to last longer in the bedroom, schedule a private consultation with the experienced physicians at Prime Men's Medical Center. 904-206-8105. 904-206-8105. That's 904-206-8105.
When you owe IRS or state sales tax and can't pay, call J. David Tax Law for effective tax help. J. David Tax Law can stop IRS or state collection actions and protect you from financial ruin. Call J. David Tax Law for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777 or at jdavidtaxlaw.com. Peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker dazzles this Christmas. Bring the whole family together for the original holiday tradition. Step into a simpler time filled with sweet dreams and spectacular magic. Experience world-class artists, stunning costumes, and towering puppets on the Gift of Christmas tour. It just wouldn't be Christmas without Moscow Ballet's Great Russian Nutcracker. Get tickets now at nutcracker.com.
Appearing at the Florida Theater December 22nd. Get your tickets today at nutcracker.com.
In search of a battery that won't let you down, even in the lowest temperatures? We've got you covered at America's #1 battery destination. At AutoZone, we have the proven tough Duralast batteries you need to drive with peace of mind this winter. They're tested in extreme conditions, which means you can count on them to deliver when you need them most. Stop in today or visit AutoZone.com, and we'll help you find the start you're looking for. Based on data from the NPD Group Incorporated, Car Care Track 12 months ending December 2018.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
It's time for some straight talk. You know those football players who are all talk, no show? Well, big wireless carriers aren't much different. Well, Straight Talk Wireless doesn't give you the hype, just the savings. For just $45 a month, you'll get the unlimited plan with 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G. No contract. All on the same 4G LTE networks as the big guys, but up to half the cost. Savings delivered right to your wallet. Only at Walmart. Savings may vary. See terms and conditions at straighttalk.com.
New flavors and a rating that would make Madden jealous. Hey, everyone, this is Austin Lane.
And I'm Brett Martineau. Vita de Louis recently got a 98 rating. It's new, and it's getting rave reviews.
Made in Tequila, Mexico, and shipped directly to Jack's Beach. Vita de Louis is available in 3 flavors.
And those flavors are Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Try all 3. Make your own recipes with Vita de Louis Tequila, one of the smoothest tequilas you will ever taste. For merchandise and more, visit VitaDeLouis.com.
Luxury begins at the door of Atlantic Infinity with your concierge, no-pressure customer experience.
Only one Atlantic Infinity.
Experience the wave of luxury in person at 10980 Atlantic Boulevard or at atlanticinfinity.com.
The holidays are on the horizon. That means family and food. Hey, everybody, I'm Brent Martineau. Let Renna's Pizza help you out. Parties at school, parties at work, celebrations, or maybe you're just tired of cooking yourself. Renna's has you covered with 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Want a fresh one? Renna's makes everything fresh. New York-style pizza, sandwiches, salads, and pasta dishes. Everything fresh. Find out why Renna's has been a family favorite for over 40 years. 5 locations in Northeast Florida. Marsh Landing, Bay Meadows, Argyle Forest, San Jose, and the newest location in Neptune Beach. Trust, tradition, and quality. A winning combination to feel good about your home. Sometimes it's just that time to replace your roof. Or maybe you need to fix your roof after a recent storm. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks. And there are so many roofing companies in the area. But which one can you trust? Let me tell you about my friends at Jack C. Wilson Roofing Company. Trust a family-owned business with owners that grew up right here in Jacksonville. Talk to the owners directly. Get free estimates. And you can trust Jack C. Wilson Roofing to walk you through each step of the process. Tradition? Jack C. Wilson is a name you know. The longest-standing roofing company in Northeast Florida. They have been repairing and replacing asphalt shingle roofs since 1946. How about quality? A roof you will tell your neighbors about. Quality from start to finish, shingle by shingle. You can request a free estimate at jackcwilsonroofing.com. It's the first name in Jacksonville roofing. And make sure you let them know Brent Martineau sent you.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Where now through December 24th, get 20% off everything in the store, including loose diamonds, only at Beards Diamonds.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
I mean, you have to call a spade a spade. There's really no general feeling of positivity that you can even grab onto right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
There's no positivity, Brent, and what makes it even worse is that the fact that there's no excuses anymore.
I'm Kevin Rahm, and this is Action Sports Jacks.
I love it here. The people love me. It's my second home, so I enjoyed every bit of it.
That's Leonard Fournette joining us just a few moments ago as he is here at Academy Sports and Outdoors on Atlantic Boulevard. Him, along with Miles Jack, some other teammates as well. And the kids are now coming to get their bikes relatively soon. So you can probably see it if you're watching on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. This is pretty cool that these guys are coming back to give back. And, man, it's genuine. You heard it from Leonard Fournette. And, by the way, we really appreciate Leonard. This is a community event. He doesn't need to answer the questions that we're asking him at the end. But obviously some big news, and I'm not even sure how much he knew about it until right before coming on with us. So I thought he did a nice job of answering it, but he also indicated how nice of a job Doug Marrone has done kind of keeping this thing together. I think there's respect there from the players toward the head coach, who obviously might not even be here after a couple more games. And it does sound like more evidence from a player's perspective pointing to the top of the food chain on the football side of things, and that is Tom Coughlin.
Without a doubt. And real quick, too, he also was a fan of the fact that he said we did a good job at the wall that says it all. So that was cool to hear as well. Unfortunately, that was off the record, but hopefully we can get some audio of that and use it for our segment. But
we asked him after because I noticed that he saw it. I can sometimes tell who's on.
Sure.
And I noticed that he saw it, and we were actually applauding his efforts.
Yeah.
But we were talking about the offensive line a couple weeks ago on the wall that says it all, and so.
But he said,
he said, hey, it was pretty fair.
Yeah, he said it was cool, it was fair, so it's all good. But getting back to the task at hand here with Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone, and this has been the trend, Brent, I think throughout the entire process we've been going through this season, where the players have come out, and said that they respect Doug Marrone. Even when Jalen Ramsey almost came to blows with Doug Marrone on the sideline, Jalen Ramsey said that Doug Marrone wasn't the issue, okay? So from that perspective, we've had players in that locker room who have had Doug Marrone's back. But the factor and the trend that we're seeing this year is the fact that no one yet has come out and said, whether it's from the front office, from the players, from the coaches, no one has come out and had Tom Coughlin's back yet. And I think that's the biggest telling factor, that no one has had his back.
That's an interesting point. As you get a look, if you are watching on our video feeds, we'll try to describe some of it here as some of the kids from the Boys and Girls Club of Northeast Florida have come to Academy Sports and Outdoors. And Miles Jack and Leonard Fournette are going to address them.
Yeah.
A little Christmas with a Leonard T-shirt he was wearing.
I like it.
As he joined us on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. So this is going to be a lot of fun. You might hear a lot of screaming kids if you're just listening on ESPN690.com or just on the radio side, but be ready for it.
For sure.
But it's a fun moment here at Academy Sports and Outdoors on Atlantic. Got some claps going on, too. So we might have to keep it down. We want the kids to get the message.
Sure.
Again, appreciate Leonard coming on. And since we were talking about him, man, you see the maturity in Leonard Fournette.
Mm-hmm.
I also saw something else. One thing we should indicate. I asked him if he wanted to be here, if he wanted to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
He likes it here.
Yeah.
So it is, this whole landscape of Ramsey, Fowler, maybe Yannick's situation, maybe Leonard's situation.
Yeah.
It's an individual thing, even though it can happen with more than one guy.
Well,
the problem is it's happening with more than one guy potentially.
Sure.
But it still is an individual basis, whether you can put up with that, you want to change from that. I mean, Leonard's a great example. He had a conversation with Tom Coughlin in the offseason, and I don't know if that was the only thing that sparked his change, but either way, he changed.
Yeah.
And he brought up his daughter, seeing him get arrested and things
Oh,
like that. So
having kids can turn your whole mindset around.
So all those kind of things, but you never know what the individual's thinking. And see, there's a belief, I believe, that maybe some people think Yannick Ngakoue wants out of here. I don't think that's the case. I think Yannick Ngakoue likes it here,
from
my point of view.
See, from my point of view, I think Yannick would want to stay here if he gets compensated. If you don't take care of the man, then why would you want to be here?
Yeah.
And that's just being real. But, yeah, from Leonard Fournette's standpoint, when you asked him, does he want to be here, and he was very adamant saying he did. And that's kind of the calling card of a football player. It's to be successful like Fournette is or any player in the NFL is, you have to have some sort of ego. You just have to have it.
Absolutely.
And I think Leonard Fournette, he's been through some good times, and now he's been through some bad times here at the Jacksonville Jaguars. And I think that if he had it his way, he would stay here, he'd get his new contract, and he would see it through, right? Because now he's cementing himself as a leader, as a captain of that team. And, he's had some trials and tribulations. He's been in the news for some, with the getting arrested like he mentioned. There was a scene with the Bills last year as well.
Yeah.
So, he's had his ups and downs, but I think that he's took it upon himself now to show growth, show maturity, and he wants to see that through. So I think to justify all that stuff that he went through and all the stuff that he's been going off now, training really hard and kind of having this new lease on life, I think he wants to see it through here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, absolutely.
But once again, you have to pay him.
You got to pay.
That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
And, here's the deal. In the spring, I want to say you have to do it by May to pick up the fifth-year option. I think the Jaguars will pick up that option based off this year on Leonard Fournette. That will be a decision they'll have to make, that new regime, potentially. I keep saying this, and I almost feel bad when I say it like that, but everybody anticipates there will be newness around here in Jacksonville, and they might have to make that decision. So I think it will be very promising. I think he's well-respected around the league, the toughness of his running game, all those kind of things for Leonard Fournette. I want to spend a little time on Yannick Ngakoue today, though, because it goes with this conversation. I go back and I tell you that Yannick Ngakoue and the Jags, Yannick's representation or his team and the Jags, they came to a stalemate on this contract. I mean, they weren't even talking.
Zero communication,
Nothing.
Which has been the trend, like I've said, this entire season for the Jaguars.
But how did it get there? Does it just get there because you're so far apart? Does it get there because of lack of respect? Whatever. We don't know. We're not in those rooms. But it got there, which I always said was a bad sign. And we haven't really seen that in Jacksonville before in any kind of negotiations. Not everybody's going to agree, but usually there's some talking points to meet in the middle, and that just hadn't happened with this situation. Instead, it ended in a stalemate, and it still is for everything I know and can understand. Is he on this list? I mean, is it Dante, now that he's responded and he was the one that got fined?
Sure.
Jalen Ramsey, who wanted out, got out. Leonard Fournette, to a degree, who has made a turnaround here in Jacksonville. Telvin Smith, who potentially this could have impacted why he's not playing. And I would guess Yannick Ngakoue, is he part of this? Is this what we said in the summer of, can they handle their star players? Does this come back to Tom Coughlin? Is he signing off on saying, I don't want to give that guy this much money? Yeah. Is this a Tom Coughlin, Yannick Ngakoue situation?
It very well could be. I mean, you have to look at the question of who's ever in charge of handing out the money. It kind of falls on them. And for whatever reason, where they cease talking, whether it was because of the lack of respect or just the discrepancies in pay, whatever the reason was, they cease to talk. Anytime you cease communication, whether it's in the front office or it's dealing with the player's contract, that's not a good sign. So to say that Yannick Ngakoue filed some of the grievances, I mean, I honestly have no idea, and I'm not going to speculate. I mean, one could argue that he could because maybe he's not the happiest in Jacksonville. My only point is, like we talked about with Leonard Fournette here, when the new regime comes in, you have to turn to the guys that have been here and that do it the right way. And Leonard Fournette's been one of those guys. Yannick Ngakoue has definitely been one of those guys. And I get it. You can turn to free agents who've been there, who've been to Super Bowls, and try to build the team around them. But it helps so much more, Brent, when you have guys who have done it here before, right? And then all of a sudden you make them kind of the pillars to build a team around. We saw it with Gus Bradley. They didn't have those pillars. When he got rid of Puz was still here, but when they got rid of Mercedes Lewis, when they got rid of Darryl Smith, you got rid of all those pillars and you rely on a bunch of young guys who didn't have a lot of experience in the NFL, especially a lot of experience in Jacksonville. They didn't have a lot of success. Now you're starting to have the growth here on the Jacksonville Jaguars. You're starting to have those guys who spent a few years here, who knows how Jacksonville is, and who can kind of hand down that knowledge to the next up-and-coming rookies and everything. So from that perspective, that's why Yannick Ngakoue is so important to me. It's not only his production on the field, But with a new regime coming forward now, it's a pillar that you can build around to be successful in the future.
This might be the hardest radio I've ever done. This is just fun watching all the kids.
For sure.
Having fun and getting gifts from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Miles Jack and Leonard Fournette and other players too. Here at Academy Sports and Outdoors. This is really a cool scene over here. Yannick Ngakoue is a fan favorite, man.
Yeah.
I mean, his production is off the charts good. I think his run game totals are better than they've ever been. I think his splash plays maybe just as good, if not better, than they've ever been. I'll go back to what I say about Yannick Ngakoue. You have to find a way to keep a player that is rewriting your record books, that you drafted in the third round and was quite a find. That is a bad look for an organization. By the way, I don't care if that was Dave Caldwell's pick or the next regime's pick. It doesn't matter. It's an organizational pick. And it's an organization that's done a lot of wrong things, made a lot of bad decisions, lost a lot of football games. And when you have a guy like Yannick Ngakoue, who you drafted, who I think it's even fair to say you coached up a little bit. He's obviously gotten better as a player with this coaching staff.
Correct.
You know, I think Todd Wash deserves some credit for that. Somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
This is a fan base that doesn't want to give Todd Wash or any of these coaches any credit right now. I get it. But when you make a player that's a third-round pick good, or he's already good, but you make him even better, you deserve some credit for that as a coaching staff. So I think he's blossomed here in Jacksonville. You can't take anything away from that. The proof is in the stats. But it would be a bad look to take that guy and say, we're just going to give him away to somebody else. I don't know if you are going to get the production of a $20 million guy. I was thinking this. Is Khalil Mack right now worth the $23 million the Chicago Bears are paying him?
But, Brent, are you paying for the production, but you're also paying for what he brings to the locker room? Because when Khalil Mack, that first year he got traded to Chicago, they didn't have an identity. They weren't the monsters of the Midway, all right? Because I was coming for some of those teams, and I'm here to tell you they weren't that good.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden when Khalil Mack comes over from Oakland, he changes that team's identity. Now, granted, he's not playing that well this year, but their defense isn't playing that well this year. And all that has to do with Vic Fangio going to Denver and then bringing Chuck Pagano in, who share kind of different philosophies a little bit of how to play defense. So that's something to do with it. But not only did you trade for Khalil Mack, the stat monster, but you also traded for what he brought in the locker room of building that culture.
Yeah. And by the way, I just said I never finished my statement.
Yeah, my bad.
I said, well, no, that was me. I'm not sure he's worth $20 million, but it doesn't matter.
Correct.
That's my point.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
optics of this are worse. You've missed on enough guys.
Well,
if you're going to pay,
you lost Jalen Ramsey.
if you're going to pay Yannick Ngakoue $3 more million than you think he's worth a year, so be it. It'll be one of the least mistakes you've ever made here as an organization, at least what we're looking at with Bortles and Foles contracts.
Sure.
So, to me, the money does not matter in this situation. I continue to say, looking forward, they can trim some dollars in other spots, and this is your only core young guy that's going to get this huge, massive contract right now. You already paid Miles Jack.
Yep.
And now you have Yannick Ngakoue to pay. Outside of that, maybe it is Leonard, but that's 2 years down the road.
Well, and that's why it's so crucial too, because you can't build a successful team, Brent, without just re-signing the guys that you drafted. And you've already lost Jalen Ramsey, and I get it. People can go ahead and say he had the bad attitude, he wanted to be here anyways. Okay, maybe. But this isn't the first example where there's been a guy with a big ego who's kind of been a little bit of a distraction who they couldn't make work. Like take for instance like Chad Johnson back in the day. Chad Johnson was, he was everywhere, right? He was this prima donna type of person, had the ego, but you know what? The Bengals still kept him, and they found a way to make it work. And Ndamukong Suh, now again, Ndamukong Suh was signed a free agent deal someplace else, but I was with Ndamukong Suh, and he kind of clashed sometimes a little bit with those coaches, but you know what? They made it work because he was that special of a player. Now, he didn't re-sign a new contract there, but they never lost him. They never had to trade him, right? He played out his contract, went someplace else, and, thanks for stopping by. So my point is the fact that you had in my opinion, I think you agree with me here, Brent, you had a once-in-a-generational guy in Jalen Ramsey. And for whatever reason, whether it was the ego or just the clash, but it didn't work out, okay? Does that fall on Jalen Ramsey? Maybe. But the point is that you couldn't cultivate him. You lost control, and you had to trade him.
It was
okay?
done.
It was done.
It wasn't going to work.
So he's gone now. So the last thing you want to do is see another guy like Yannick Ngakoue or somebody else that you bring through the system that shows the potential to be that star player, that to be that household name, And you don't want to lose him either. So you only get so many chances at this, man. The last thing you want to do is see him blow another one on Yannick Ngakoue.
Absolutely. The one thought on Jalen Ramsey. Ramsey, was he right in wanting to get out in hindsight? I don't know if we ever answered because I think we had Leonard come on.
Sure.
But was he right in this whole situation, having enough?
Well,
Because the one thing I always say about Ramsey is I'm just not sure, why didn't other people do it? I understand why the guy that maybe isn't making the roster or doesn't have a ton of money, but there are guys around here that could have said, I'm out of here too. I'm following Jalen.
No, Brett. No. You can't do that.
Why?
Why? Because if you go to another team, you think that other team is going to be like, okay, so this guy who's more of a depth player just said he doesn't want to be in this culture anymore. He wants to go someplace else. Teams don't sign those guys.
No. I'm saying they have enough guys like Yannick or Leonard or whoever that could have said, I want out too.
Yeah.
They could have gone right up after Ramsey got out and said, I want out too. But we don't think that happened.
No, we don't think that happened.
So, I mean, was this just an isolated Ramsey thing because of his personality, his not wanting to be in Jacksonville, his confrontation with Tom Coughlin, all those things? I mean, even with Dante Fowler, man, I don't remember. Now, I could be missing this, but I don't remember. If he really got fined all that money, which it looks like he did, and he had this kind of confrontation with Tom Coughlin in the front office, why didn't he ever request a trade?
Listen, maybe they do. You just don't hear it. And that's the thing. But it's from my perspective, and you can call it a hunch, you can call it a source, you can call it me being a former football player. When there's smoke, there's fire. And if one player is not satisfied with how things are being ran, there's 10 other guys or 15 other guys that aren't satisfied as well. The only difference was the fact that Jalen Ramsey, he had the ace card. He had the trump card. He basically said, you know what, I'm the all-pro kind of guy. I can do whatever I want, and he did what he wanted. I guarantee there's other guys in that locker room that feel the same way, but for whatever reason, whether it's money, whether it's the fact that they're afraid they won't get another opportunity, or maybe it's just, they don't want to be associated with that. Whatever the reason is, they haven't come forward. But I guarantee there's more.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, Ramsey might have been right. And here's what I remember talking about in the Ramsey situation.
Sure.
You know how I felt about this anyway. I think you had to do all you could to keep Ramsey.
Yeah, I mean, you were on his side, man. And when a lot of them, I don't say you're on his side, but you're on the side of keeping him.
Yeah.
When a lot of people in the media, especially whether it was local or national, said, just get rid of him.
Get rid of him. Yeah. We just have not seen a lot of players like that come around. And by the way, even though he's gone now, and I hope that the Rams don't do well, I'm still not super happy that they got rid of him. Yeah. I think he's a good player and perennially going to be a good player in the NFL. So I don't think that made me feel better that they got rid of him. A lot of people in town, it makes them feel better that gone, see you later. Mm-hmm. I never really got to that point. Now, I also don't want to see him get 4 picks a game, and sure. I don't mind when the Rams lose. That's better for the draft pick and all that. But I just don't have this vendetta against Ramsey. I do think it was a selfish play on his part. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I said that, clear as day.
Yeah.
But I still think you had to do everything you could do to try to keep him at that moment. But I also remember talking at that moment, all of us, saying, wow, what if you give up Ramsey and at the end of the year you got to fire Coughlin anyway? Mm-hmm. Well, now this whole situation that was created, the Jags are the big losers anyhow. Mm-hmm. Nothing worked for them, including you lost one of your best players, one of your best defensive players you've ever had.
And the reason you're feeling so empty right now is because we haven't been reimbursed for that, right? I mean, Jalen Ramsey's been traded, and we haven't got a chance to see what we get yet. Now, let's say the draft comes around and the Jaguars make the right decision, they push the right button, and then they replace Ramsey. You know, whether it's with like an all-pro tackle or an all-pro corner, whatever it is, well, then that takes the sting off it a little bit. But if we're sitting here at the same time next year, Brent, talking about how, the 20-something pick of the draft turned out to be just an okay kind of player, well, then we're both going to be upset because now you justified trading Jalen Ramsey away for that. So I think that's why it still kind of feels fresh to us because we haven't
seen the return.
We haven't seen the return quite yet. But once again, and I share your philosophy here, it's a once, in my opinion, a once-in-a-generational player, and it's on you that it didn't work. I get it. He wasn't happy here, but that's not the first time a player hasn't been happy in a situation where they didn't cultivate it and make it work. The Jaguars couldn't make it work, and it is what it is.
Yeah, and it wasn't going to work by the time he ended up getting out of here. By the time he ended up getting out of here, it was probably the right move to make because you knew you weren't going to make it work.
Yeah.
I put on Twitter, is it mandatory the Jaguars sign Yannick Ngakoue? And does a franchise tag do anything or just make your organization look worse.
So to me, it's absolutely you must sign him. If you franchise tag him, like I've said before, I think it's a kind of a sign of disrespect a little bit. Yes, the money's going to be great. He's going to make a lot of money off that franchise tag, and that's fantastic. But I'm just saying from a player's perspective, that's kind of a form of a disrespect, and that's going to spread in the locker room as well.
All right, so you're signing as the GM or next GM or whatever GM, Yannick Ngakoue. That means you have Yannick Ngakoue and Josh Allen. Do you move to the 3-4? Quick conversation on your favorite talking point. Back in April, said he should have already done it. We'll talk about how Allen and Ngakoue and those pieces, maybe something to build around in Jacksonville, and yesterday was another good sign of that. We are live at Academy Sports. Kids having some fun, getting some new bikes, getting some footballs, hanging out with Jags players. We are too on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
ESPN 690 Sports Center Update.
I'm Jake Mitchell. Jaguars found a way to win yesterday in the swan song of the Oakland Coliseum. The team rallied around quarterback Gardner Minshew as Duval took the lead for the first time with less than a minute left, which proved to be enough to close it out and make the Raiders' last home game in the Bay a loss. Here's Gardner Minshew on what it was like to beat Oakland in their own Coliseum.
Probably saw more middle fingers today than I have in my whole life, but no, they have a good time, man, and it was fun to ruin that for them.
And in one final true Raider fashion move, the Oakland fans booed the team as they went to the locker room and threw things onto the field, including pieces of their seats. The team moves to Las Vegas next year. Stay connected with ESPN 690 while you're at work by listening on ESPN690.com. The best kept secret in tires is TireOutlet.com. Tire Outlet offers wholesale prices, premium service, and TireOutlet.com always has a safety-first focus. With locations throughout the First Coast, there's no need to go anywhere else for tires and service.
Are you looking for the best wings around? I found the place. Listen up. Hey, everyone. It's Brent Martineau. Mr. Chubby's Wings is awesome. 2 locations, the West Side and in Fleming Island. They are a part of the community, too. Mr. Chubby's Wings wants to wish all of the high school teams good luck this fall. They've been supporting youth athletics for a decade. Get ready for the game at Mr. Chubby's. Celebrate the big win at Mr. Chubby's. Chub it up with the best wings around. Mr. Chubby's Wings on the West Side and in Fleming Island. It's holiday time, so treat yourself to some golf or give the gift of golf. Hey everyone, this is Brent Martineau. The golf club at Southampton is one of the most fun tracks to play in the area, and it's very affordable. It's the home of the Action Sports Jax Dream 18 as well. Go to golfsouthampton.com for tee times, gift cards, and gift packages. There are 9 different options to choose from. It's the perfect gift. The gift of golf at Southampton this holiday season. Visit golfsouthampton.com.
Pop quiz. If you sell a home for $500,000, how much would a traditional real estate agent charge in commission? If you guessed $25,000 to $30,000, you're right. But if you think that's the only way, you're wrong. This is why thousands of homeowners are making the switch to Rex. With Rex, you get a dedicated agent and a full-service experience at a fraction of the cost. Rex uses game-changing technology to cut out the middleman and save homeowners tens of thousands of dollars in fees. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. Remember, this is your home. Why give an insane amount of equity away to an agent? Rex offers the lowest fee in the industry without skimping on service. You'll work with an experienced real estate team with you every step of the way. Get the most out of your home. See if you qualify by calling 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME.
Florida, CQ 1057788.
Minimum fee may apply. Not licensed in all 50 states. Visit rexhomes.com to see if Rex is available in your area. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
It's a celebration you won't want to miss. The 75th Tax Slayer Gator Bowl on Thursday, January 2nd, 7 p.m. at TIAA Bank Field. This year's matchup will feature a team from the SEC pitted against an opponent from either the ACC or Big Ten Conference. Let's fill the bank and pay tribute to 75 years of Gator Bowl history. Special anniversary offer includes 4 game tickets, a parking pass, and game program for only $75. Package is now on sale at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Tax problems can be extremely stressful and cause financial devastation. The tax attorneys at J. David Tax Law are right here in Jacksonville to be your personal advocate and resolve your IRS or state sales tax issues. J. David Tax Law focuses on your needs and case outcomes. Don't be fooled by these big out-of-town tax companies that only focus on getting you to sign up and pay without even working with an attorney. At J. David Tax Law, only highly experienced tax attorneys will represent you. Get the help you need with tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, and unfiled returns. If you have federal or state sales tax debt, have a sit-down with J. David Tax Law. Your first step is a no-cost consultation. Call J. David Tax Law at 904-507-4777, 904-507-4777. Peace of mind only a click or phone call away, 904-507-4777, or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com.
Say hello to your new secret advertising weapon, your own branded mobile phone number. Star Mobile provisions vanity mobile numbers prefixed by **, providing audiences an easy way to reach your business. Give it a try now by dialing ** mobile from your mobile phone. That's ** mobile. When prospective customers see your offline or online ad and they dial your branded ** mobile number, ** mobile helps to convert them through text, voice, and online communications. Give it a try now by dialing ** mobile from your mobile phone. That's ** mobile.
WOKV AM's license will expire on February 1st, 2020. We have filed an application for renewal with the FCC. A copy of this application is available for public inspection at www.fcc.gov. It contains information concerning this station's performance during the last 8 years. Individuals who wish to advise the FCC of facts relating to our renewal application and to whether this station has operated in the public interest should file comments and petitions with the FCC by January 2nd, 2020. Further information concerning the FCC's broadcast license renewal process is available at 11700 Central Parkway, Unit 1, Jacksonville, Florida, 32224, or may be obtained from the FCC, Washington, D.C. 20554. www.fcc.gov.
When the time comes to get your roof replaced, call Big Fish Roofing. We don't require any upfront deposits, and we are locally owned and operated by Jacksonville natives who have built their business on quality and integrity. At Big Fish Roofing, we know your roof is the first line of defense against the elements, so we make sure to deliver a quality project in a timely manner. You can find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing, or give us a call at 904-685-8334.
If you're buying diamond jewelry this holiday season and you haven't shopped Beard's Diamonds yet,
stop before you pay too much.
Now through Christmas, you'll save an extra 20% off Beard's already guaranteed low prices, including loose diamonds. 20% off all diamond engagement rings, from solitaires to halos. 20% off all diamond bracelets, necklaces, and more.
Plus, get special financing, but only at Beard's Diamonds through December 24th in the St. John's Town Center.
Or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Hey, boss, I could sure use some cheering up. Hey, do one of your holiday poems for me, would you?
All right. How about this one? 'Twas the week before Christmas, and all through the town, Safe Touch was gone. They were nowhere to be found.
Oh, I like it already.
The do-it-yourself alarms, just as simple as pie, claim to be good, but crooks know it's a lie.
Yeah, we do.
No more stressing about Safe Touch's response guarantee, because the do-it-yourself alarms don't have one, you see?
Do-it-yourself alarms have no response guarantee?
And that's why it's plain to see that the Crooks Are Us rule reminds us every day staying away from Safe Touch houses is the price we gotta pay.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you. Then you need to be online where they look for you. Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for that. I need to run my business.
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
This
is the Stephen A. Smith Show.
I have no doubt in my mind that Eli Manning will end up for the Hall of Fame. I also have no doubt in my mind that he doesn't deserve it.
The Stephen A. Smith Show, weekdays at 1 on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey, this is Dennis Anderson, the driver of Gravedigger Monster Truck, the baddest monster truck in the land. You're listening to Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Magical. I mean, pretty much, I don't know what to say. I just knew we was going to win. I stood at the end to get ready for field goal, and I didn't move. I just waited for him to score, made it better because Chris Conley got the score. It's always good to see a Bulldog score. So, happy day.
That's Avery Jones talking about the win and the confidence that they had in the win. I might want to play one more from Avery Jones. If you find the ESPN Classic one about playing in the Coliseum on the last game, Coos, do that, and we'll play it before the end of the show. But Avery Jones, fantastic. Again, it kind of goes back to, I shared this story yesterday on social media, and it was kind of late, so I don't know if anybody saw it. I think some people saw it on Twitter. But I'll share it again. Calais Campbell, we know how good of a guy he is, right?
Yeah.
And he said something, Stuart and I going up to him after the game, and he is exhausted. He's just spent.
Yeah.
And he says, like, I walk by and, you go up to these guys, see if they'll do an interview. And, he said, hey, man, don't talk. First of all, I'm exhausted.
Sure.
Like, so don't worry about talking to me today. Talk about these other guys. We won the game. I'll talk to you when we lose, and it's the bad stuff.
Yeah.
He was it's just so Calais, right?
Sure.
It's like, I'll handle the bad the last 5 weeks. Let these guys talk about the win. Mm-hmm. And it was just a cool moment. And I said, come on, man, because I appreciate guys that talk like that. Leonard's one of them. He talks every day.
Yeah.
Every week, win or lose. Avery Jones is another guy like that, win or lose. Calais is obviously a guy like that. And there are a lot of players like that. But there also can be the players from time to time like, yeah, I'm not talking about this stuff. And so I like to go back to those players and get them on the wins, especially after 5 straight losses like this.
Yeah.
And so I made sure to go to Calais Campbell and Avery Jones and talk to them because they should have a chance to talk and say good things about their football team after a good performance, after kind of being the spokesperson of the football team during the bad times.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Avery, you stole me $50, so it is what it is from that standpoint. But no, and it was funny too because I was watching some of the videos prior to the game, and they posted one where the Jaguars are coming out of the tunnel, and there were some Oakland fans that had some, few choice words to say to Calais Campbell, and they're asking him like,
cool, right?
we don't know who you are and stuff like that. Which is, I mean, are you a football fan? You really don't know who Calais Campbell is? I think it's a little gamesmanship there. But no, and you mentioned it, Brent, and. I had to answer those questions because I was on a couple bad teams, unfortunately, and it's one of the hardest things to do in the NFL, right? Like, when you're winning, everyone's celebrating. It's the easiest thing to do. You answer all the questions, but when you're losing and you're getting the same questions over and over and over again, and they're questions you hear pretty much on a daily basis, and if you don't hear them, people are talking about them on the radio. You can't help but notice. So it's always a rough standpoint from the football player's perspective there. But it's like you said, guys like Calais, guys like Avery Jones, guys like Leonard Fournette. I mean, it shows you just how constant professionals they are and able to actually answer those questions when most players wouldn't want to do that.
And I appreciate the genuine nature of a guy like Fournette, who I've asked several times, how hard is this right now? Like, how hard is it to keep your cool right now? And he'll say, it's hard, man. And you can tell. But he's, again, another area that he's grown in. There were times, I think last year or even the year prior, things go bad, or maybe even earlier in this calendar year, where he's like, I'm not talking. I don't want to do it. But then he kind of said, you know what, I got to talk. Yeah. So, again, it just shows the growth. And I just like to give you a little bit behind the scenes. It really has nothing to do with me. If they talk, they talk. If we've got a lot of guys we can talk to.
Yeah.
But I just think it says a little something about that player. And we already know about Calais Campbell. He's up for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award, won the Bart Starr Award, up for the Art Rooney Sportsmanship Award. But I think there are other guys in that locker room, and to me it speaks. Avery Jones is one of them, a little underrated on that side. And before I get too far away, listen to Avery Jones talking about the black hole and this win at the Coliseum. He's good with words. Take a listen.
I mean, I told guys before we hit the field, I mean, this is 100 years in the NFL. I don't want to be sitting on the couch 20, 30 years later, and I see on ESPN Classic because they playing the last time in the Coliseum, and we out there getting our ass beat. So I told them I'm not trying to be that guy on the couch. So we make sure we came out and got that win.
That's pretty good perspective. Don't want to be the guy 30 years from now.
Yeah, no, that's an awesome quote. I don't want to be the guy 30 years from now that still hasn't got paid by about you, Avery, but it is what it is once again. But no, that's a great soundbite.
Just think how much $50 will be in 30 years,
man, the interest and everything, Brown will be sitting pretty, man, for sure. But no, from Avery's standpoint, it's a good way to look at it. And those are things that cross your mind as a player. You know, I mean, we've already seen with the whole Derrick Henry highlights of a couple years ago, right, where that 90-something yard touchdown run. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest NFL plays of all time now. They just announced. So the last thing you want to do as a player, you know, it's in any sport. NBA, you don't want to get dunked on, obviously, but in the NFL, you don't want to be a part of, you know, a team with their pomp and circumstance going out on top in their last home game, like in Oakland.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was an interesting perspective from Avery Jones. By the way, so those guys, to me, speak to the culture of the Jags. And so culture's been a dangerous word around here lately. Nick Foles kind of put it out there.
Sure.
The fans did not react well. It felt a little tone deaf. Understood. But I will say, I was interviewing guys in the locker room yesterday, and I feel like inside, some of the Nick Foles narratives have actually registered with this football team, and sometimes a young football team. I heard Calais Campbell mention, not surprising, but I heard Josh Allen talk with that kind of context to it. Gardner Minshew, of course, he's in the same room with him, but still talks with that kind of context. There are people in that room that I talked to yesterday that believe a win like this one, while just another one for all the rest of us, that gets them to 5-9, could be an important win when this someday pays off, maybe down the road, and maybe it's in 2020. Hopefully it is. Maybe it's in 2021. But pick your nucleus, core guys, people that might be around for a few years. There's a win like that got you through that hard time, those tough times, and you still fought your way out of it. And you come back and you deliver, and you're able to pull out a win, even if it is against the Oakland Raiders. That's what they believe, and that's what I'm sharing with you. I'm just saying that's what they believe. You could sense that they believe it. And those are some of the Nick Foles narratives. That's what he was trying to create. Now, the part we didn't like about Foles is that they needed to have a sense of urgency at the time.
Sure.
Now, I wasn't worried about 3 years down the road when he was playing, when he got in there. They needed wins
right now.
in a hurry. Well, now it's a different outlook. But it's interesting to hear the players say it, which means something's resonating with some of those younger players and in that locker room, and maybe that's why they have galvanized a little bit. Some of the words of a Foles, of a Minshew, of maybe even a young guy like Josh Allen, Calais Campbell, Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
And I don't think that resonates well with the fan base, people listening right now. I don't think it does. But I'm just telling you, those words that I heard that people really are like, stop, it's not just Nick Foles saying it anymore.
Well, yeah, and to be fair, I mean, a lot of things that Nick Foles echoed, yes, you heard after the Oakland game. And to me, it's not just Nick Foles, though, right? It could be from the coaches as well. It could be from other players in the locker room. Like, Nick Foles was just so adamant and very eloquent of how he put things, but I feel like Gardner Minshew does the same thing just through his playing style. You know, when he's staring down the barrel of a blitzer coming in, and he stands in the pocket and still makes that pass. That's an example of Minshew coming out and said, listen, I believe what we're trying to do here, and that's the culture. So just because, you know, someone said at a press conference doesn't mean that's the only way you have to go about your things. Like Leonard Fournette said, sometimes he considers himself a vocal leader, and sometimes he leads by example. The point is, it doesn't matter how you're doing it as long as you're doing something, right?
In a forward direction.
Exactly. As long as you're exemplifying that type of energy to be positive. And we saw it from Minshew. We saw it from Josh Allen. We saw it from Yannick Ngakoue. We saw it from Leonard Fournette. We saw it from a lot of players. So I get what you're saying where, yes, obviously those full sound bites, they stick out to us because they were met with a lot of criticism after they aired. But at the same time, just because those words were said doesn't mean the other players aren't saying those exact same words, maybe just a different way.
Yeah, and I guess that's what I was trying to push. It hit me yesterday.
Sure.
That I was like, wow, when we heard this a few weeks ago, it was really ripped. And by the way, I thought it was kind of a tone-deaf way to go about it, too. It was the way it was presented. It was like, what are we doing here? But now you look back on it, and it's a tone that is kind of resonating internally with a group that right now is kind of on their own, because I think there's a big sense that they know there will be a lot of change going into 2020, and who knows what players will be around and things like that.
Yeah.
It also makes me think about, maybe this is a topic for later in the week, Calais Campbell is due a lot of money. This organization made a mistake when they didn't keep guys like Darryl Smith. They didn't keep guys like Mercedes Lewis. They didn't keep or we've seen the effects of losing a guy like Puz. Does this organization, next people who come in here, really have to keep an eye on losing guys like Calais Campbell? Now, you can't pay him $15 million to be a leader and a 20-play guy. Understood. But do you do all you can to keep a guy that can help groom this into what it's going to be when he hands it off someday? I mean, you think about what Arizona's gone out of their way, and he's still a very productive player, but he's not the player he used to be to keep Larry Fitzgerald.
Yeah.
And I think there's bigger reasons why they've tried to go out of his way to keep Larry Fitzgerald. Should this organization maybe think about that with Calais Campbell?
You absolutely have to for a various amount of reasons. Number one, when Josh Allen was drafted, and Yannick was going through his stuff where he was sitting out a little bit and, trying to secure that second contract like a lot of NFL players do. When Josh Allen was a rookie, going through his first OTAs, going through his first training camp, what was he so adamant about? It was the Calais Campbell kind of took him under his wing a little bit and kind of showed him the ropes, right? And we see that in the locker room all the time. They always talk about each other, and that's genuine. And not every NFL player does that, Brent, okay? Because I've been in locker rooms where the guy's just about making his money, getting his stats, and, maybe if you ask me some questions, I'll answer them. I'll help you out. I'm not going to go out of my way. To me, Calais Campbell went out of his way to help out Josh Allen. Now, Josh Allen's success has stemmed from his athletic abilities, his physical traits, but also I think a little bit from what he's learned from Calais so far. So when we're talking about those kind of factors, and the type of guy that Calais Campbell is, kind of this old school veteran guy in a new school world, right, where sometimes it seems like, I'm sure he feels like the old guy in the locker room, and sometimes it's probably hard for him to relate to some of these things because he has been around for so long. But when you're talking about a guy like Calais Campbell, that's one of those pillars that you have to build a team around. And I get it. To try to justify $15 million if he's only getting, a small amount of reps here, there, it's hard to justify that. But if I'm the new regime coming in, I do everything in my power to try to keep Calais Campbell, not only for his abilities on the field, which, sure, he's had a couple errors here or there. I mean, he hasn't had his usual all-pro type of season, but he's still contributed. And you still want him to contribute in the locker room.
He can
as well.
still be a very productive player. He might not be all-pro. I don't know.
No.
I mean, maybe he will.
And that's the thing.
He still feels like he has more in the tank, by the way. I've talked to him a bunch about that.
And if you ask him to play maybe, like you said, 15, 20 reps a game, especially on the pass rush, well, there you go then. And especially with this team going forward where you're building that new regime, you're building a new foundation, they're going to need defensive linemen, Brent. And it's my prediction they're probably going to take defensive linemen high in the draft. And if you do that, you want a guy here to show them the way. Calais Campbell is that dude.
We got to talk about Minshew before we go, and a quick thought on the whole grievances thing. But before we do that, Kuz, let's hit a happy hour horn.
Party now begin. See the beautiful ladies marching in. There's enough for everyone to win. We're gonna make this party the best thing happening. This is my favorite place. Nothing will replace. No. Nothing. Anything goes. The gangsters are rolling, half-face smiling. Heads up, think of the rhythm what you're drinking. Anything goes. Hey.
Grab a drink, get a shot, sip your Star 10.
Hey, Vita de Luis recently got a 98 rating. Check out VitaDeLuis.com for 3 flavors, Blanco, Reposado, and Yeho. Vita de Luis, locally owned tequila right here in Jacksonville. Made in Tequila, Mexico. Shipped directly to Jack's Beach. Make your own recipes with Vita de Luis tequila. One of the smoothest tequilas you'll ever taste. Check out VitaDeLuis.com. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Ariana, if you're watching on the video feeds. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to be doing a Vita de Luis tequila commercial while Ariana sits right next to us.
Grab a drink, get a juice box, and tip your dad or mom.
Yeah, you don't know what that is.
And that's exactly the right answer.
Marcel, by the way, you guys had a great show Friday. I listened for the first hour. This
man.
is Marcel's little one right here, Ariana. She always visits us in the sports office. Now she's hanging out with us here at Academy Sports and Outdoors on Atlantic as we wrap up a show on a Monday. Okay, 2 more thoughts, and we have like 2 minutes.
Okay.
Gardner Minshew.
Yep.
I thought that was a big game for him. Mm-hmm. He pulled it off in the end. It wasn't front to back great, but it was pulled off in the end, more Minshew magic. Did he make himself a lot of money yesterday? Was that enough, or does he still have 2 more big games to come for 2020 in terms of how people will view him, especially whoever's making big-time decisions?
So on Friday, Marcel and I broke down a little bit. What does Minshew have to do to maintain his spot as a starter of the Jacksonville Jaguars? I think I'd said he has to have 3 touchdowns a game and one interception or less per game.
Okay.
Well, he had 2 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
And 0 interceptions.
Still +2. That's good.
+2, and also led the team to a victory. So from my from my observations, he definitely put some hay in the barn, as they say.
Yeah.
But you still have 2 more games to go, and those last 2 games, the most important games, obviously, for him. But he's off to a great start, Brent.
And he gets DJ Chark hopefully back next week if Chark is healthy enough to do it. So we'll talk more about Gardner Minshew, but I sincerely thought that was a huge game for him.
Yeah.
He had a bad start against Houston. He had not a great start, I didn't think, against the Chargers. And he had come in relief and provided a spark for a quarter, and that was about it. He needed a good performance. And, again, I think if you break down the tape, I think he sailed a couple of things. It wasn't perfect, but I thought it was clutch. And clutch is good, and he continues to show signs. Where is his ceiling? We all don't know. That's the thing. Where is the ceiling on Gardner Minshew? And right now the belief level is high because they just pulled off another W with a little bit more magic.
And I'll tell you what I saw. I saw a guy, like you said, Brent, he sailed a couple balls, but at the end of the day, you can clean those type of things up in the offseason. But what you can't clean up and what you can't teach is a guy with the ability to stare down a blitzing linebacker and take that hit. What you can't teach is a guy to lead his team down for that game-winning drive. You can't teach those type of things, and I think Gardner Minshew has those in spades. So going forward, once again, I think he's got to be the guy.
You said the belief in the teammates, too. People, alpha dog from Josh Allen. Leonard Fournette, who's right here in front of us, actually said he was relaxed in the huddle. Those are all good complimentary things for Gardner Minshew going forward. We'll see what he does the final 2 games. All right, last thing. The big story of the day, as we put a bow on it, is this grievance thing with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The NFLPA sent a letter to players and said the Jaguars have been 25% of the grievances filed in the last 2 years have come from Jaguars players. Dante Fowler Jr. fined $700,000. A lot of this around Jaguars requiring players to go to the training room and the medical staff in the offseason, which is not a mandatory thing, but they made it mandatory.
Yeah.
The players and Fowler and all these, they won the grievance against the Jaguars. It's not a good look. What's your overall takeaway of what just went down today and what we talked about really for the last couple of hours?
Obviously, my takeaway from the NFLPA is that the Jaguars are not in a good situation right now. You know, that whole statement from the NFLPA, it makes the Jaguars look very bad. And in my opinion, the way to combat that is for Shad Khan to step forward and give some kind of press conference or just at least release some kind of information, some kind of statement. Because at the end of the day, I get it. You're an owner, and it's cool that you kind of leave your hands off the football stuff because you have people for that. But also being a great owner is knowing when to step in, when to talk, and when to give people what they want to know. So
I don't think that's going to happen. He'll probably do it in a couple of weeks because he's going to make moves with this organization, but I don't think it's going to happen. I wonder if we'll hear from Tom Coughlin or the Jags on this.
Someone's got to say something.
But either way, my big takeaway, this might be the final nail in the Coughlin era.
Mic drop.
I'll see you on TV tonight, CBS 47, Fox 30. Jags Report Live. Come on out to Top Golf. We'll be talking a little bit about this some more at 7 o'clock. Have a good night. Thanks to Academy Sports. Thanks to Leonard Fournette, Miles Jack, and the Jags, giving the kids a special Christmas here in Jacksonville. Thanks for listening, everybody. Trust, tradition, and quality. A winning combination to feel good about your home. Sometimes it's just that time to replace your roof. Or maybe you need to fix your roof after a recent storm. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau of Action Sports Jacks, and there are so many roofing companies in the area. But which one can you trust? Let me tell you about my friends at Jack C. Wilson Roofing Company. Trust a family-owned business with owners that grew up right here in Jacksonville. Talk to the owners directly. Get free estimates, and you can trust Jack C. Wilson Roofing to walk you through each step of the process. Tradition? Jack C. Wilson is a name you know. The longest-standing roofing company in Northeast Florida. They have been repairing and replacing asphalt shingle roofs since 1946. How about quality? A roof you will tell your neighbors about. Quality from start to finish, shingle by shingle. You can request a free estimate at jackcwilsonroofing.com. It's the first name in Jacksonville roofing. And make sure you let them know Brent Martineau sent you.
What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lee on ESPN690, and I need you, your friends, and family to meet me at the ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena Saturday, December 21st for the Jacksonville Icemen's Drive for 10,000 teddy bears. I know what you're thinking, hockey and teddy bears, but check this out. When the Icemen score their first goal, fans will be encouraged to throw their teddy bears and other stuffed animals on the ice. These stuffed animals will then be donated to the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville. So thousands of local kids are going to have their holiday shine shine a little brighter. There is no limit to the amount of stuffed animals that you can bring. This may be the only time where you're actually encouraged to throw things at a sporting event. So let's have some fun, let's cheer on the Iceman, and try to break an ECHL teddy bear toss record, all while doing our part in making sure local kids in need have a special holiday as well. It's the drive for 10,000 teddy bears supporting the Children's Christmas Party of Jacksonville this Saturday, December 21st. Get your tickets now at jaxiceman.com/teddy.